Hello, everyone.
Hi.
think we have a quorum, Carter, if we want to start.
Oh, go ahead. You and Donna can start it off.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Ely. I am Community Board 2's co-chair of our SLA committee. And tonight's committee is going to review a number of applications. We need everybody to bear with us because we're using Zoom. We're not the most proficient at using Zoom, but we will do our best and make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to be heard. If you are from the public and you would like to speak on a particular item, we have 3 items tonight. You need to raise your hand at some point after the application is brought up. And if you need a little help doing that, you could, it's right on the top of the Zoom. You just say, you raise your hand, you want to speak so that we know you're there. If you're an applicant, and then we'll move you up so you can be an attendee of the meeting so you can actually speak, okay? So it's a process, but we'll get it straight. If you're an applicant, the same thing. When we call the application, we'll bring you forward so that you can speak on the application itself, okay? If you're from the public and you're interested in one of the applications, please understand that we post the questionnaires on our website. So if you need reference to what the application is about, you can reference it by going directly to our community board website. Without anything further, I will start the meeting. And the first I'm going to call is, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the cafe, Gansevoort Café, then go to the Bagatelle application in the Gansevoort Hotel, and then we'll go to Restoration Hardware, just so people know how we plan to go tonight. Okay, so the first one up will be the WSA Café, 18th Avenue, on-premise license application. So if you raise your hand, we'll get you forward. And again, if you are from the public and you want to speak on this particular item, you can raise your hand as the application proceeds, okay? Got everybody? Michael? Donald? There we go.
Sorry, yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, it's just the 2 of you, Donald?
Michael and yeah, I think so.
Okay, great.
Okay, so
go ahead, you start up,
sure.
Donald, go ahead.
Thanks, Bob. So I think it was back in February, Michael and I were before you. This is a space in the front and the lobby of the Gansevoort Hotel that Michael's plan was to carve that out and have a separate little seating area with a bar. There would be a small outdoor space with 20 seats, and that was going to get its own license for beer and wine. We discussed that at length. We then, the community board voted to recommend approval, and on February 12th, Michael signed a set of stipulations, which we returned to you. Since that time, for a couple of reasons, we've gone back to the drawing board a little bit, and the only real change is now to keep that space as it is currently, which is for full liquor, not just limited to beer and wine. Keep in mind, the space is part of the licensed hotel, so this is not new space that's being created. So the only thing that's changing is instead of limiting it to beer and wine, it would be full liquor service. The layout is the same, the hours are the same. All of the stipulations that we signed with you in February would remain identical, no change other than providing that it includes spirits as well as wine and beer.
Okay.
And we did review this with Donna, and Donna will speak for herself, but she indicated that as long as we adhere to the same terms of the stipulation, she didn't have an objection.
Okay, and Donald, if you don't mind, you know, the stipulations were, I believe, passed out to the committee, but could you just, for some committee
Yeah, of
members
course.
who haven't seen it, could you just kind of go over what the hours and what the
Yes.
stipulations say?
Yeah, the hours are 7 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. There will not be a full kitchen, but food will be available. No televisions. Exterior cafe for dining purposes only, and no music, and no later than 10 p.m. for the outdoor space. Quiet ambient recorded background music only in the interior. Closing all doors and windows at all times. No
And then there-
bottle service other than
Yeah,
wine.
the regular, our regular.
The others are your standard boilerplate.
Okay. And, all right, so I'll open it up if anybody on the committee has a question. I don't see any questions. Does anybody have a question? I see that Zach has raised his hand. Maybe we could bring Zach forward. Zach?
Where did he go? Okay.
There you are, Zach. Okay, so would you like to say something, Zach?
Yeah, very briefly, Michael and Donald did reach out to Donna and myself about this application. When this first came up before the community board for just as a beer and wine license, our main concern was that Bagatelle was being brought in as the operator. And one of the things that's changed is Bagatelle is apparently no longer involved with the operation of the space. And frankly, on that basis, and out of our relief that Bagatelle was no longer involved, we felt that, yeah, we would be happy to go ahead and support or go along with the full liquor app, changing it to a full liquor application.
That's great. I appreciate that. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
No, thank you. Done.
Okay, thank you. All right. It seems that we got some support here for this. Does anybody from our community board member have a question? Just one last chance. Anybody from the community want to raise their hand? Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next application, which is going to be the Gansevoort Hotel or the Bagatelle application.
Okay.
So, it's Donald. Is it you and Michael again?
No, Michael has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Mark Roth should be here. Is Mark here?
Let me see.
Mm-hmm. Hang on.
Everyone. Good evening, everybody.
Okay, great.
Mark, you're here?
I am indeed. Thank you.
There he is. Okay. Mark, are we waiting for anybody else? Is anybody else joining?
We do have Roman. He has also joined on screen.
Great, thank you. I wish I was where you are. Looks pretty nice. Okay, speaking of Bagatelle.
Can Donald, just 1 second. Remy Labat is here too. Should I bring him up?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
And just so you know, guys, on my screen, I have two Mark Roths.
Yeah. What
So
does that
maybe
mean?
we make sure we understand which is the Mark Roth, because
If
Oh,
someone's
yeah, that's,
on the phone, it usually does two because it's a call-in and a screen.
No, I'm
there
just
are
on my,
two Mark Roths with photos.
yeah, I'm just on my computer at the moment. I'm the gentleman by the beach with the waving palm tree in the background, although I'm not here in real life, unfortunately. Simply wishful thinking on our behalf.
yeah, we know that background. We know that background. Okay, so if you're Mark with the Hawaii background, who's the other gentleman that also says Mark Roth on the face of the?
Where?
Oh, sorry, that's me. It's Romain. I don't know why it's saying Mark Roth.
No problem, Romain. Okay, I just want to make sure I got your name. Okay,
Yeah, and Romain is with Bagatelle.
gotcha. Okay, and then there's someone else.
Yeah, Remy?
Yes, Remy Laba.
Okay, and Remy, I don't have your face, but I have your picture of you here. Okay, can you hear
Yes,
me?
trust me, it's better than my face these days.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Donald. If
Okay.
you want to present it.
So I'll give you some of the drive run through of this space, and then I'm sure you'll have questions, and
I'm gonna look at
Mark, Romain, and Remy will answer it as best as they can. So this is the former Provocateur nightclub space that was licensed. They had a full 4 a.m. license, I think 7 days a week, on the space on Hudson between 14th and Gansevoort Street. They are not now out, I think, to the relief of everybody. And Bagatelle now is taking over that space. There are 3 components to the space on the ground floor. There is a basement that's back of house only, and there is a mezzanine, a small mezzanine that I think is just a bathroom. So even though there are 3 partial floors, the public space is all on the ground floor. And contrary to how Provocateur operated, this is not going to be a nightclub. This will be a full-service sit-down restaurant in all of the interior and exterior spaces. We are not asking for a 4 a.m. License for any of the spaces. The latest it will stay open is until 2 a.m. I don't know if you have the floor plans handy, but the first space that I will just refer to is entirely indoors. It is within the hotel building proper. There is a full-service bar there, and it is seated table service. The occupancy of the indoor space that consists of 35 tables and 138 seats. There is 1 bar with 8 stools and, as I said, fully enclosed space. Then there are 2 other spaces that we refer to as the Northern Terrace, which is closer to 13th Street and the smaller of the 2, and the Southern Terrace, which is at the corner of Gansevoort and Hudson Street. The Northern Terrace, which is the smaller of the 2, still seated table service, 11 tables with 32 seats. This is entirely outdoors. It is within the property line, so no sidewalk cafe permit is required, but it is entirely outdoors. It can be accessed directly off of Hudson Street, and it is only 11 tables and 32 seats in that space. There is no stand-up bar there. It will close by 11 p.m. all nights. There will not be any speakers in that space. There will not be music in that space. That's the smaller of the 2.
Donald, if I could interrupt one, because I really appreciate you going over each space. Yeah, are there French doors that lead to that northern exterior terrace?
There are doors. Are those French doors? I know there are French doors that open on the southern terrace.
If I may, there are French doors. On the inside, they are backed by banquettes, so they're not meant to be egress doors. They may open on a sunny afternoon if we're blessed with good weather, but not in conjunction with any music playing.
And how many doors are there?
There are 3 in total.
And when you say French doors, that means two per door?
That is correct, yes.
So 2 doors per door frame. Let's call that 3 frames.
Correct, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Donald. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Then I'll take you to the southern terrace, which is a little larger than the northern one. There it is. Thank you.
Yeah,
so you'll see the northern terrace is, the southern terrace, I'm sorry, is on the top of the diagram. It's at the corner of Gansevoort and Hudson. It is existing. It was part of the Provocateur space. And as I'm sure you know, there is a retractable roof and sides that are existing, which I think that we are going to improve on those, but they are there. So the plan is to operate this space both as an indoor and outdoor component. In nice weather, weather permitting, we would retract the roof and have it as open air on the top. Whether it's inclement weather or later at night or off season, that rooftop would be closed. So what we're proposing is that if it as outdoor space, it would remain open only until 11 p.m. On any given night, if the plan is to continue having people dining there past 11, then it would have to be covered. So once covered, we would consider it indoor space and would maintain it until 2 a.m. Because it has sides to it and it is not fully open, we would have background recorded music while that space is being used.
And when you say explain to me what you mean by sides, Donald.
Mark, maybe you can describe them. I think in the questionnaire we provided some photographs showing. You may, if you can scroll down, you might be able to see them. And keep going, and you should be able to see from the outside. There you go.
Okay, so they're glass sides that are not operable.
That is correct.
And there's no plan to change that.
No, we are replacing with new, better quality soundproofing glass panel,
Whenever it's ready.
new soundproofing silicon as well, but we're not doing any change to the physical structure
Yeah,
itself.
and there's,
Excuse me 1 second. There's somebody on the line that needs to push mute because we can hear a conversation, okay? So go ahead, keep going, I'm sorry. You were talking about the doors and the replacement of the doors, or?
So we're not replacing any of the actual mechanism. The original mechanism will remain in place, but we are replacing all of the glass with increased insulated soundproof glass, as well as sealant and caulking around it.
And is there going to be drapes there, or is it going to be open so people can look through?
Roman, can you comment on that from a design perspective? Robert, I don't want to comment incorrectly. I'm going to ask Roman, who works with us as a project manager, to jump on.
1 second, Mark. Roman, do we have the 3D perspectives to share?
Yes, we send it to them. They should have them. Let me double check.
Carter, I think if you keep scrolling, yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Are these the renderings on the screen, or
Yeah, Roman, you just passed one with the drapes on the windows.
Yeah.
Go back a couple, Carter.
Although that's the inside. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the inside. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So that's the design as of. Yes. Exactly. So
that's the room with retractable roof.
Yes, it is.
And that's not under a Bagatelle. That's under. That's why you see the M. That's going to be called most likely Mademoiselle.
And are any of the windows that face Hudson Street going to be operable?
It's one structure. So basically, when we open, we open the side, part of the side as well, but it's not entirely opening.
So they're not going to be operable?
Part of it going to be operable, yes.
Okay, so part of the windows, can you explain to me how big they are and how wide they open? Are they like French doors? Describe them to me.
No, so if I may, Roman. So the entire structure is on railing, right? So the windows retract with the roof, and they're on a railing. So they're basically at banquet height. And if you look at the exterior where you have the brick wall, that's basically the height they open at. So when you open the roof, the windows open. And it's one structure that slides.
Okay, and so these windows are windows that face Hudson Street.
Yes, and basically when you close the roof, you close the windows automatically.
So tell me if I'm wrong. You're essentially redoing the retractable roof as well.
Where we're basically changing all the panels of what's existing. We're not redoing any of that structure. Okay. It would operate the same way it always has operated, and it will be only panels will be replaced and joinery so that it's all soundproofed.
Okay.
Can I ask
was that the way it was always when it was retracted? Was that the way it always was?
Yes.
Yes, the mechanism will be the same.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just have a question looking at this diagram. I understand how they open the way they did before, but these arched windows look like it's a cutout within the panel.
So that's inside. That's just a design element inside of the structure. So it's not, it's more of a decorum. It has nothing to do with the window itself.
So the structure is beyond that and
Yes.
beyond the metal railing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So go ahead.
Did you have more
Bob?
questions about that? Yeah,
No, I got it.
That's what I wanted to say. I think there is also a bar in that outdoor area. As was said, the name and the concept for this space will be somewhat different than the interior restaurant and the northern exterior terrace. And that's the basic presentation. I think, we reviewed this with Donna and Zach. They had some questions and concerns. We answered them as best we could. So we'll just answer any other questions you have about it.
Okay, I'll start out. Is the Bagatelle that is going into the new space essentially the same method of operation as the current Bagatelle that exists next door?
Mark, you want me to answer that or you want to do it?
Yeah, as long as you understand what I mean by method of operation.
Yes.
It's pretty much the same.
Okay. So the inside, what used to be the club part of Provocateur, is going to be the Bagatelle as you know it, same method of operation, fine dining with a festive atmosphere. That's
And you got to
only
tell everybody what
indoors.
section you're talking about.
So
When you say the old Provocateur nightclub
club,
space.
so Provocateur used to have what they call the club and the cafe. So anything that is indoors, right? When I say indoors, I'm not talking about the enclosed terrace part. So if we go back to the floor plan, right here, right, it will be what's on the right of the northern terrace. So everything that is within the full structure the terrace and the little terrace, but the inside of the venue is where we will operate similarly than the current Bagatelle opens. All right, so that's fully soundproof, the way the club was. The cafe part, which is what the one we just looked at with the retractable roof, is going to be operated under a different name, which is meant to be a sister type of venue, which is more made for our clientele that is, has grown up and is looking for something that's less noisy, if I may say it that way.
Okay, and what's that going to be called?
But right now, the name that we're going for is Mademoiselle.
Okay, and if someone wanted to get into Mademoiselle, the area where that's going to occur, or
Yes.
where that's going to physically exist, does not one have to walk through the old Provocateur nightclub?
Yeah,
space?
as you can see, we have two different entrances with two different host stands. You have one that's on. If you see the staircase that is an internal staircase, you have an entrance on the left side from Hudson Street that will take you to a host stand that's right there into the dining room. You have the host stand. You walk in and you make an immediate left. There's a host stand right there, that oval desk next to the bar. So you enter Mademoiselle without having to go through the inside of what would be the new Bagatelle. And Bagatelle, the same thing. You walk in through the terrace, and you have a host stand that is greeting you right there.
And how do you get into Bagatelle from Hudson? Do you get in from Hudson?
Yeah, you see that. Well, you have an entrance from the hotel if you need to, but the real entrance is from Hudson Street. You see where that little terrace is. Basically, go through the terrace and in, or you can go through that same door, that same pathway, that sort of corridor, and that is in between Mademoiselle and Bagatelle, and you would turn right instead of turning left at the end of the corridor.
Okay, so you can either enter through the terrace or through that entrance that also enters into the Mademoiselle area.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other entrances?
No.
Okay, and can you also enter from the hotel?
you have a way to enter the hotel. If you look at the like the furthest point where there's a little passage that goes to the elevator bank. If you Romain, is that you manipulating the mouse? Yeah, here exactly. So where the mouse is, that could take you to the lobby of the hotel.
Okay. We have some questions. Lois, do you want to go first?
Yes. Okay, this is in regard to Mademoiselle. Of course, this is under the same application, the names, the principals. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you asking Lois that whether or not it's the same principles as Bagatelle?
Same application, yes.
And that will be one for Mademoiselle.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's one space.
Okay, now
it's one space.
I have a series of questions regarding this. Okay. Will there be music there?
Yes.
What kind of music?
What do you mean by what kind? You need the type of music, or if it's, or you mean if it's?
How are you creating the music for Mademoiselle?
We'll have a DJ.
You're having a live DJ?
Yes.
Why do you need a DJ?
Because this is the way we curate to the atmosphere. You know, depending on the crowd and the mood and whatnot. Having a DJ makes you able to be much more versatile and basically customize and tailor the music to the people in the room.
Okay, my next question is the menu for Mademoiselle. How is that different from Bagatelle's menu?
Mark, do you want to address that?
Absolutely. Sorry, give me 1 second. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Mademoiselle is meant to be a higher end concept. You know, Bagatelle has its vibe, as we all know, and it certainly has its own focus. But we feel, and Donna and I spoke about this at length, that a lot of our clientele has grown up. We ourselves, as people, has grown up. We don't want loud music.
Hold on, Mark. We have a problem with somebody keeps the mute.
I'm going to close the door. Okay, my next question.
7 o'clock.
I still have the floor, don't I, Bob?
Okay, hold on, Lois. I guess that was noise coming from your direction.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay,
go.
So let's just give it 1 second and then we'll go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Take your time, Lois. Just we'll wait a second, okay?
It'll take a minute. I'm sorry. By the time I get to close my terrace door, it'll be gone.
Yeah, but Mark
Okay,
is not. We couldn't really hear Mark, so I'm going to let Mark do it again after the ringing stops.
About the menu and then the hours.
Well, hold on, Lois.
Mademoiselle.
Lois, hold on.
I'm going to shut my terrace.
Okay, thank
Sorry.
you.
Is that better?
Much better. So Mark,
Thank you.
So Mr. Roth,
So we're on Mademoiselle.
Yes.
And it's a sister venue with a different menu.
Correct. It's meant to be a more adult and upscale offering than Bagatelle.
With a DJ, more adult, but it has a live DJ.
There will be times it will have a DJ. I absolutely don't foresee that's going to be the majority of the time by any stretch of the imagination in the Mademoiselle space. Certainly, Bagatelle will operate as it does now, and even Bagatelle in its current operation does not have a DJ 7 days a week. We have a DJ on certain nights. We have a DJ on the weekend, but on a Monday through Thursday lunch or Monday through Wednesday evenings, we certainly don't have DJs or loud music. And Mademoiselle would be a much more grown up and toned down version of that as well.
My next question, sorry, is about with the DJ. Do you have? I understand what you said about Bagatelle. But will there be a set time for the DJs on specific nights? What will there be a specific kind of music on a different night?
And just to be clear, is that question directed towards the Bagatelle space, the Mademoiselle?
No, I'm still on Mademoiselle, which is higher priced, that you're going to have a DJ. We didn't get to the hours yet, but I'm understanding this is a higher priced place with a DJ. And the question is, on specific nights, will you have different kind of music? That the DJ will play certain kind of music to maybe attract a certain kind of crowd.
Mark, let me answer this. So, the music there is, we don't have a fixed format, meaning that it's really going to be a mixed format meant to address all kinds of crowds. But the crowd that we intend to cater to is our the crowd that's, probably I would say 45 and up, our crowd that's evolved and grown up and don't necessarily come to the meatpacking anymore, not for the same reasons. What the main difference is not necessarily going to be on the style of music played, although it'll be a lot less electronic per se versus classics and pop, but the sound levels are going to be drastically different.
Is it going to be admission when you have the DJ?
No, never. We'd never do
or a cover charge?
Never. We've never never done that in any of our operations, and we're absolutely
okay.
not.
My last question is the price points for your alcohol and your bottle service.
So no, so we don't do bottle service. You cannot come and just sit down and have bottles. It's a restaurant first, so you can only drink if you eat, unless you're at the bar. And as far as the price point, I would say that it's probably going to be 10 to 20% more than what Bagatelle is on the food. And on the drink side, I don't necessarily think we'll be a lot more expensive. We'll probably be at similar price point. We want to be within restaurant prices and nightclub prices. So if we start going up in cost of cocktails, wine, and liquor, or champagnes and whatnot, we would start changing our the way we operate. So I would say on the beverages, you can expect to have pretty much the same price point. You might have a bit more higher end cocktails with a bit higher end types of alcohol, but or more.
Give me a dollar point.
I would say
a dollar figure.
I would say $20 to $25 for a cocktail.
Okay.
And 15 to 25 on wine. We might have a wine program. We're studying that, where we use the Corvin, that gas driven system that allows you to pour just a glass out of a bottle. So we could offer more expensive wines at a per by the glass type of thing. So let's say that, usually the by the glass programs in restaurants or for the wines that are, let's say, between 60 bottles that are $65 to $150. But if you wanted to treat yourself and you were alone to a nicer glass of wine, with that system, we could do that without having to, open a $300 or $400 bottle of wine. You could just have a glass. So we're looking at, providing a wider array of choices from, the 65 bottle to $500 bottles of wine through that program. But that's really the extent of it. So I would say that our base prices are going to be similar to what we do. And then you have higher end choices, mostly on the wine side, by the glass.
Okay.
Okay, so
thank you very much.
Thank you, Lois. I have a follow-up question to Lois's question, which is about the bottle service. Do you not have bottle service currently at Bagatelle? No. And if you do, explain to me what that is.
No, so Bagatelle's, you cannot come at Bagatelle and just sit down for bottles. It's a restaurant first, so you need to come for food, right? So you make a reservation, whether it's brunch or dinner, and then if we take dinner, brunch is a different animal, of course, but it's a similar concept. But it's really, it's your dinner party. You come, you have dinner with your friends, and then you can stay for drinks at your table, especially on the second, our second, what we call second turn, the 9:30 or and up at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. reservations, because we don't have a reservations behind that. So you can stay at your table after you've had dinner, and you can order bottles of champagne and whatnot. And also, you know, at Bagatelle, you're not able to order bottles of hard liquor at the table before a certain time, whether it's evening or afternoons.
Okay, what time is that?
So in the afternoon, typically, we don't like to have any bottles of hard liquor on tables before 3 p.m. And in the evening, we typically don't like to see them before 10 or 11 p.m.
Okay, and the bottles of champagne, that's some sort of special that exists, right? For brunch?
Well, we don't do specials. No, we don't do specials, but we do parades. So you can order multiple at once that comes with a show. But
I'll call it a tradition. I'll call it a tradition, okay?
Yeah, parades.
Involving the use of champagne bottles
yes,
being ordered by folks during your brunch.
Yes, people will order what we call parades. So basically, they'll order 5, 3, 6, a certain amount of bottles, and it comes with a show. You know, whether it's Superman or I mean, you've seen videos, I'm sure. So that's our, you know, we don't put money towards DJs and whatnot in terms of, you know, like high talent, and the way we create our entertainment is through our bottle deliveries. Yes.
Okay, so at the new place, Mademoiselle and the new Bagatelle within the same location.
Yes.
You're not going to have bottle service like that with champagne? You don't have any intent to do that?
Yes, we're going to do that in Bagatelle.
Okay, because that's what Lois's question was. Her question was, are you going to
so typically when we hear bottle service in our industry, we think about people that just come like a club. You know, you make a reservation, you sit down and you just drink, right? So we don't have bottle service like that. However, are you able to order bottles of wine and champagne and at our tables? Yes, of course.
and how about hard liquor?
Yes, and to answer specifically your question, Robert, the show aspect of things, it will be within Bagatelle walls. We are not planning to do that within Mademoiselle. It's not what we're going for there.
And just to follow up on what Lois asked about the DJs that are going to be, you're really going to have DJs at all locations except for the terrace. Does that make sense?
Yes, we have two DJ booths. Correct.
Okay, and then that would be entertainment level music, the DJs, right?
So entertainment level DJs inside the Bagatelle space. And Mark, how would you describe the level of music we would have in Mademoiselle? I would say more it'd be more restaurant level. Right. Within the Mademoiselle space.
Right. I mean, I think if we look at the floor plan of Mademoiselle, and I know Donna and I chatted about this briefly the other day, it's by its layout not meant or built or in any way able to be a club. There's no dance space. It's a full-on restaurant space with beautiful topiaries, and that's really the full intent of it. Will there be at some times a live DJ there to orchestrate the vibe in the music? Yes, but never at a DJ or club volume in any way, shape, or form.
So let's say, Robert, that your volume in a Bagatelle setting is, you know, more in between 95 to 105 dB. At Mademoiselle, we want to be way below that. We want to be more in the, I think the max range would be 85 to 90. So we would really be at a much lower music range. Again, the idea there is to be able to be in a place where you can have conversations at all times. You can still be in an environment that has a vibe and it's fun, but without having that music that will cover your voices and not allow you to speak from one guest to the other. If that would be the better way to illustrate that.
Okay, thank you guys. So I'm going to call on a few other committee board members. Ritu, are you there? Go ahead.
Hi there. Oops, sorry about this, guys. I'm going to try to just make sure that my sound is a little bit better. So I know is a very good operator and very responsible. Sometimes, overall the management of Bagatelle has been, in my opinion, pretty good and responsive towards the community, especially if there's an issue. So my questions are really about the management of the space, that it depends on who is in charge what day, and that not every manager, especially over time, adheres to the same quality and restrictions. And so sometimes you can have an out of control crowd, the door open and music blasting, and even though the music is only blasting out of the front door, it reverberates throughout the neighborhood. And my question really is, how will that be managed in the terrace space and in the Bagatelle space as envisioned, in terms of managing the day-to-day? What kind of controls will be in place, and what access will the community have to the management or to a manager?
Or Ritu, if I may answer that question, and thank you very much. Number one, I'll start with sound outside. I think you'll notice by the floor plans that both of our entrances have double vestibules, and we designed them specifically in that way to eliminate the opportunity for noise as the doors open and close while people are egressing, to address that concern even before it happens. And externally in that fully outdoor space, we have 0 speakers whatsoever. So that's going to be effectively a soundless space. As far as management and operations, to introduce myself to everyone, I'm Mark Roth. I'm the Director of Operations for Bagatelle as a group. I am based here in New York City, so I am certainly in full control on a day-to-day oversight level of all the properties and all the managers within them. And certainly I can make myself available by phone and email to the community board members. Should any concerns arise, they can certainly reach out to me directly.
And Mark, if I may add, you have Romain also here that's on the call. Romain is our project director, but also a former GM of Bagatelle, so he knows the operation inside out. He's also available, and I think you make a very good point. I mean, one of the challenges that we have in a company is always the human aspect. So Mark's position is really about making sure that the culture, the operating procedures and whatnot are enforced, and that everything that we stand for and that we promise, whether it's a promise made to customers and what we're going to deliver, or promise made to the community as far as what we'll put in place to make sure that we operate in the most respectful of ways and try to mitigate all kinds of nuisance. That's going to be Mark's job, and there'll be typically 0 tolerance for managers that would not adhere to this. I don't think that we have the will to entertain any employees that would want to see the party carry away or get out of control and whatnot. First, because it puts in danger the investment and jobs of our business, and so that's not something we would tolerate. But also because the will that we have of moving from that corner to the other, if I may say, is because we believe that the old Provocateur space is such a unique space in the city with that beautiful enclosed area, and it was a way for us to also translate our business from where we started 12 years ago to where our clientele now exists, and also reflects also the other venues that we own across the world, and have the ability to do something also a bit more grown up, if I may say, in that room. So we take that very seriously, and Mark's experience speaks for itself. And I've always been, as an owner, available to the community as much as I could when possible, and Mark will definitely be New York based and be available to you at any times. So will Romain.
Okay. Ritu, did you have any other questions?
No other question that I really have with respect to the live music, will that be coordinated in conjunction with both locations, or will they be operated as two separate entities?
Two separate entities.
Okay.
Music-wise, yeah, we're because we don't, again, you know, they're different rooms, and you have a DJ for two different reasons. Either you have a DJ because you want to, you know, create a festive environment and he really plays into the ambiance, or you want to basically curate the music to the atmosphere and the mood of the people. In Bagatelle, of course, it's much more of an entertainment aspect of the DJ, if I may say. So he needs to have a clear view of the room and how people react to what he plays. And Mademoiselle, we want to have our own control because, again, if Bagatelle needs to be festive at 11, but we have a full room at Mademoiselle that is having we need to have someone who's able to cater a very different kind of vibe and music and also different volumes. So they have very distinct purposes.
My final question is, will there be testing done after you install the new window panels?
So to answer your question, the testing will be done before.
It will be done before, because despite the fact that on occasions the roof has been closed, the music has come through.
Yes.
And given the late hour, now the fact that your entrances will be facing a broader scope of residents.
Yes. So to answer your question, I think that was, you know, one of Michael Achenbaum's requests, because obviously, you know, he's had issues with the community board and Provocateur and their operators in the past. So the soundproofing for us now, you know, with our experience up to 12 years, is always something that we try to now be proactive about versus reactive. First, it's a lot more cost efficient, but it's also a lot easier to do. So we've already conducted sound. We've had a sound engineer come to design our soundproofing, to measure all the impacts. So that's done prior, and of course, once that put in place, we're also going to do it afterwards to make sure that what we've implemented is efficient. But we're being proactive with that, and you can also imagine that. For Michael, as hotel guest, it's also very paramount because you don't want the sound to get out, but you also don't want the sound to go up in the rooms. So soundproofing is a serious matter in that project.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ritu. Just a follow-up question. In terms of you leaving, if we could just mute the dog, thanks. In terms of you leaving the current space where you are now, where you operate out of at this moment, is that space not available in the future? Is that why you're moving to this space, or why are you moving to this space at this time?
So it's a little more complex than that. We actually have our initial. Sorry, my dog's barking. Hopefully you'll stop.
Oh, no problem. That's okay. I didn't realize it was your dog. Go ahead.
Sorry, Teddy. Quiet. So basically, the first term of our lease ends in November 2020, but we have an option to renew that we could exercise. We've decided not to for different reasons. Reason number one, when the opportunity of like I said, the space of the Gansevoort coming up, we feel that it's a very unique space where we can create a really strong experience for our guests that can last another decade, right? So it's about longevity for us. So what we've done then is we've decided to not take the option that we have on our current lease to be able to move, and that's basically being negotiated as we speak with Bender and Aurora Capital and Jared Epstein, who's been working with us on that transition.
Okay, great. Dr. Smith, do you have a question? Are you around? Can you unmute me? Yeah, I can hear you now, Dr. Smith.
Okay, great. I have two questions, but the first one is I noticed on the application, it says the proposed occupancy is 350, but yet you don't have a certificate of occupancy yet. I'll call you check no, you do not have one. Do you have one now?
No, not yet. No, not yet.
We're filing.
You'll get it.
Yes, we're filing a change of CO currently, which is why it's not yet on hand.
And it will be for that 350 for the new space?
Yes, that's including, of course, employee number as well, which is why the seating is a reduced number from that total number.
Okay, thanks. And just, no, I do have some concerns about if you are, really wanting to be the great restaurant and your restaurateurs, as you say you are. I'm not sold on having DJs in those spaces with food, but that's just me. And I'm putting that out there now while I have the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Patricia Loria. Go ahead.
Hi, I have one question. Where will you be sourcing your employees? Would you be hiring from the neighborhood?
So, well, first off, we already have an existing base of 120 employees that we're going to be transferring from one venue to the other. Of course, I mean, we're looking for consistency in our service, but for the ones that obviously it's a larger space where we're going to be recruiting, and the way we recruit is we put ads and we let people know in the industry, and it's not necessarily from the neighborhood per se, unless they're obviously local because they have to be New York based to come to work, but it's really based on the applicant and their ability to fit the criteria that we're looking for in a manager, a waiter, a runner, a busboy. Frankly, there's not a lot of people that can afford living in the meatpacking, so there's not tons of restaurant workers that reside in the meatpacking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, throughout with this pandemic, there have been a lot of people out of work, so I was just curious.
Oh, we're absolutely. I mean, look, I think for us, it's employers. It's a great opportunity to be able to have access to a whole new pool of talents. I mean, that's that they're going to be looking for work. So obviously, yes, as operators, we're going to be looking to hire more people than we have today. I mean, I think that we're going to move from a venue that's about 5,000 square feet to one that's about 10,000. So we're going to significantly, raise the number of employees that we have. So for us to be able to pull from the pool of talent that's available in the area is fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. So, folks, just as an FYI, we've already spent an hour going on this application. So if you have a specific question and you have a specific answer, if you could just be as succinct as you can with both the question and the answer, I would appreciate it. So go ahead, Ms. Fitzgerald.
Be quiet. Hi, sorry. I actually have a couple of questions. Yeah, in terms of hiring from the neighborhood, Patricia's question, you said that, not a lot of people fit the criteria of what you're looking for. Can you just briefly tell me what you're looking for, what that criteria would be for, say, a hostess?
No. So let me rephrase because it's not exactly what I said. So what I said is we're going to first recruit people based on the criteria. They have to fit the criteria we're looking for. So I'm not saying that people in the neighborhood don't fit it. I'm just saying that that's our first criteria, is making sure that they fit the personalities that we're looking for. But what I did say also is that I don't, the meatpacking neighborhood and its immediate surrounding is more of an expensive neighborhood. So it's not necessarily a neighborhood that our workers can afford. So that's what I mean by that. But to answer your question about what criteria are important for us as an employer, we're looking for people that have personality, that are proud, first off, because we believe that proud people are going to want to do a good job because they take pride in what they do. They take pride into the way they do their job. So they're going to be caring of the customers that they serve. So that's number one. We're looking for people that have a strong personality and that are proud. The second trait that we're looking for is people that are that have a lot of tolerance. You know, we want people that are open-minded. We have a very international clientele, very diverse, both in terms of race and sexuality and whatnot. So for us, that's also very important. We're a global brand, so we want people that, you know, that are very open-minded. As far as a hostess, to your criteria, you know, a hostess's job is to make you feel welcome. So as long as they have an ability to smile and make you feel welcome when you enter the door, that's the prime criteria of what we're looking for in a hostess, for example. Managers need to be need to lead by example. So they need to have a significant experience and know how to lead a large team of people that have strong personalities, and they also have to have you know, they have to be leaders, if I may say. And we're blessed in New York. There's a lot of great restaurants and restaurant groups, and one of the greatest hospitality schools in New York State with Cornell. So we have access to things like that. But that's basically what we're looking for as employers.
Okay, I'm just going to fire off the next two questions, and you can answer them how you like. As far as your hostess, I've been reading your reviews, and I don't know that people feel that, you know, traditionally they've been that welcoming. Apparently, there are many reservations that have been lost or denied or just simply not honored. I'd like to know about your reservation system. Have you changed it? Have you updated it? My second question is, how will you manage the lines? The brunch lines, the lines in the evening, to keep down the noise and the crowding on the sidewalk. Third question is, have you thought about adjusting your programming at all so that it's a little more welcoming to the local neighborhood? It seems like the largest portion of your customers are tourists or people from outside the neighborhood coming to celebrate big, you know, special occasions. That's all.
Yes. So they're all three valid questions. So if I can start with the first questions regarding the reviews. So look, I mean, the one thing that we do know is that reviews are mostly people that are unhappy or will go write reviews. You hear a lot more about unhappy people than happy people. However, there's only two reasons why we will not honor a reservation. One, people come and are either way underdressed and not, you know, or you know, it's a security call. We believe that it might create a problem in the restaurant, you know, belligerent, or there are also people that, you know, in our reservation system, if we've had people that have had fights in the past, or people that have been belligerent, and we have a code that's called DNA do not accommodate. But sometimes people realize, you know about that, so they'll make a reservation under another name. So they come to the door, our manager realizes that it's a problem client, and that's one motivation to not honor a reservation. Second motivation would be if someone comes and is intoxicated, which happens every now and then, especially at a restaurant like Bagatelle. But other than that, we don't turn away reservations. What sometimes happens in terms of the not honoring reservation is much more of a logistical problem. So we have people that typically will make a reservation, let's say at 8 p.m., right? And we have a second reservation coming at 10:30. Typically we have, you know, the typical 2.5 hour dining time, but those people don't want to get up. And they're nasty about it and whatnot, and that creates delays 30 to 45 minutes sometimes. And if they're late if the table's delayed 30 to 45 minutes, we try to, you know, make the wait of the customer that's at the bar or whatever much more pleasant. We try to buy them cocktails and whatnot, but sometimes we've got people that are just not willing to wait and that just leave. So that happens. The second thing also that happens is when we're fully booked. You know, we have a 20-minute or 15 to 20 minute, Roman, correct me if I'm wrong, about the time of reservation policy. If you show up 15 to 20 minutes late, we have the ability, and we warn the customer that we will be giving their table away to a potential walk-in, right? Because we can't, they might not show. So sometimes that happens. They arrive 25 minutes late and it's a Saturday night. We've got 4 covers and their table's gone because they've been late and they knew about it. So, and we try to accommodate them if we can, but if that happens, then the reservation's not honored. So that's basically the only reason that that would happen. your question about the lines. Well, look, we pay a hefty bill every year in security, so to try to get people moving, not let people congregate once the restaurant closes in front of them, trying to get them to circulate. Obviously, you know, we're only, sometimes it's just displacing the crowd. That's really been the issue, especially after brunch. We tell them to move, they'll move, but they'll move half a block or a block away, or they'll go to sit on the plaza, right, and they'll still be rowdy, noisy, and whatnot. So, you know, we're hoping that being on the Hudson side, it's a lot less attractive. Now, nothing will keep them to turn the corner and go onto the plaza and into the meatpacking. So that's a little bit of that's always been an issue. Absolutely. And we try to be as proactive about it as possible. But it always been an issue, especially after brunch, I would say. And you had a third question that was relating to.
I can jump in here if you like, Remy. It was regarding reservations. So we in 2 ways have changed and upgraded our reservation system, and then I'll touch base on the security aspect of your question as well, just to fill in a little bit more, if I may. So since I've taken tenure, we have actually removed the reservations from the restaurants and brought them into our central office. This way we can closely monitor and train them and make certain that the mishaps in the past that certainly did occur in communications don't continue to occur. And we've also improved from a technological standpoint, we've started utilizing 7 rooms as a reservation and guest tracking system, which also allows us great visibility on our guests, on tracking them, on phone numbers, and on properly accommodating them. In regards to security, Donna and I had a great conversation earlier this week, and she brought that up as one of the concerns that she wanted us to address. We have changed from the original application and put in that there will be security 7 days a week. We have a letter from the security company, which is headed by ex-NYPD detectives that I believe Donald, correct me if I'm wrong, has submitted along to the community board for their review. And that also includes the traffic control if necessary. As agreed with Donna, we won't be utilizing any velvet ropes. Once again, we're not a nightclub. We don't charge a door admission. There may be times we have a movable host stand with an individual there, if that is necessary at that time, but it certainly will not be a fixed or permanent structure. And we've already agreed with Donna not to be utilizing any velvet ropes as such. I hope that answers the question fully.
Yes. Okay. So just if anybody from the audience in attendance tonight would like to speak on this item, you need to raise your hand. Okay. Next up is going to be Katie Bodenaro. Katie? Go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. I had a question about the retractable roof, because in the slide that you sent to us and that Carter showed, it had plants on it. What's the story on how do you move the plants? I'm mystified by the picture.
It's a good question. So the retractable roof is very high, and the structure that you see is a steel structure that is under it. They're not connected, right? So you would retract the roof, and that steel structure would remain in place. They're not connected. That remains. They're independent, if I may say.
So the plants will stay when
Absolutely.
the roof. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Eugene, you want to say, you have a question?
Sure. Yeah, just 2 quick questions. It looks like, I was just looking, and it looks like there was a lawsuit from a few years ago about Bagatelle claiming pervasive, I guess, environment of racism in the restaurant and mistreatment, I guess, of your clients and employees. I was just wondering if you could address the current state of that lawsuit. Is it still active? Has there been any resolution since then? And second, you also mentioned a coding system in terms of reservations where customers could be labeled. I think you mentioned DNA. for do not accommodate. Could you also explain what the code BO is? Oh, that's it.
So you know, you're referring to an article that you read in the New York Post, which, you know, first of all, you know, we never made comments on, but was pretty slanderous. Now, as far as the lawsuits are concerned, to address it very specifically, they're no longer active. They were frivolous lawsuits that were settled through arbitration. And to be honest, it's actually quite interesting because the lawsuit you referred to in the article you're referring to in the New York Post showcased a picture of African-American woman in the restaurant that one of our waiters took 4 years prior to filing his lawsuit to understand how this was all built up. And the woman that recognized herself in the photo in the New York Post was actually extremely offended, and I have it in writing, and actually wanted to sue the restaurant for using or letting someone use her photo when she was absolutely not victim of racism. What happened that day was brunch, and you'll see that the chairs are actually outdoor chairs. They had a reservation for 6 people, and it being 8. We didn't have enough physical chairs, and their answer was, well, you know, don't worry, we'll squeeze and we'll share the chairs. And that's why you see 4 girls sitting on 3 chairs in that photo. So that was instrumentalized, number one. But look, I'll give you, it's difficult to answer that question very succinctly, but I'll give you a few numbers. In our venue, and we're only going to focus on New York's Bagatelle because that's the one at hand. We have people of all sexual orientation, of all religion, and of all colors. Actually, the one employee that's been promoted the most in the last 4 years is Senegalese. His name is Mohamed Ba, and he's one of our best employees. There is, you know, I'm a dual citizen, a French American, with a Jewish father and a Catholic mother. I'll tell you, this to me has been the worst moment in our lives, to be sued for things that we stand against at every level has been extremely difficult. But I can tell you that as a company and as owners or co-workers, there is absolutely none of that going on in our company, and we'll fight tooth and nails to everyone that suggests that. Now, as far as the labeling, so all the reservation system from open table to 7 rooms or anyone is called, you use what's called tags. They're marketing tools that allow you to qualify your database in all kinds of ways. And yes, you've got some that are linked to behavior, some linked to what a customer likes or dislikes. You were referring to one that's called BO. Is that what you were saying? BO?
Yes.
So I've read that in the article. I've never seen that, and I don't know what it means, to be honest. Now, you have to understand that those labels can be created by hostesses or the maitre d', then, so we don't necessarily always know what they are. But you know, the ones we typically use are DNA do not accommodate. We have the opposite, which is always accommodate, that recognize a very good client that comes. And if he comes with no reservations, we want to make sure that he's seated. We'll use things as DP, for example, for Dom Pérignon, someone that is a Dom Pérignon drinker and whatnot. But yes, I mean, you know, so there's those labels, and but any lawsuit. So we've just to go back to the lawsuits, we've had a lawsuit for discrimination and sexual harassment filed separately, right, from one former employee, and then we also had a lawsuit filed, another one. We fired. Romain, remind me how many employees it was. One for theft. I think it was 30 or 20. I mean, there was a large theft.
One day we fired 18 employees, and then a few more after the more big.
Yes, so we fired about 20 employees because there was a theft event. They stole a lot of props and stuff from a client that had a private event. All that was caught in camera, and 3 or 4 of those people were recruited by the law firm that had done the other lawsuit and tried to sue us for that. And I'll give you just a quick story because that'll show, I hope, the type of operators and owners we are. One of us that sued us, Raju Ahmed, was an employee that had been with us 8 years. Unfortunately, one of his sons died at a very young age. We paid for the funeral. We supported the family. So, sorry?
Hi, I'm on.
Go ahead.
So basically, you know, I mean, yes, it's one of the difficult things to operate in the United States. Anyone can file a lawsuit. It could be frivolous or not. You still have to answer to it. You have to go in arbitration, or you have to go to court. But none of those are active. They've all been closed, and that's that. I mean, I wish I could tell you more to it, but you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Lois and Dr. Smith, I'm going to hold off on your questions for now. We have a lot of people that would like to speak on this from the public. I'm going to let.
Of course. And then come back to me.
We'll come back to both of you, okay? So I'm going to call on Zach, who's here, and give you an opportunity to speak. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yep, I hear you.
Hi, great. Yeah, thanks a lot. One thing for the other community, members of the community who may be interested in commenting and who are as inept with Zoom as I am, I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that you need to click on raise hand electronically by clicking on the little icon on the Zoom screen.
Thank you, Zach.
This application is, the total number of seats is going to be 290, which makes it larger than either the old Provocateur or the existing Bagatelle. And given the terrible history of both Provocateur and Bagatelle, and given that this is supposed to be a fine dining establishment, I think really the most important point I'd like to try and make is that there should be no DJs or live music allowed anywhere on the premises.
We'll never agree to that, so that we're clear.
Let me make all the, there are probably some other points you're not going to
Excuse me.
Let me make
Zach, excuse me, guys, all right? When someone is speaking from the public, we let them make their statement, okay? There's not a back and forth, please, okay? Because this is taking a long time. We're going to give you an opportunity to speak, but let everybody give their statement and what they would like to say before that, okay? So go ahead.
Sure.
Continue,
So,
Zach. I'm sorry.
No problem. Back in 2012, when Bagatelle moved into its current space, there was a meeting with the community. They told us the same thing. It was going to be fine dining. It was not going to be like the party scene at the previous location on 13th Street. And yes, there was a DJ, but it was just for atmosphere. It wasn't going to be allowed entertainment thing. That's not how it worked out. There's, obviously the DJ was not being used for quiet background entertainment, and it wasn't just for atmosphere. It was kind of a central event at the current operation. So again, I would strongly request that only quiet background music be allowed in the interior. Second, the French doors which separate the north terrace from the interior space, I'd ask to be kept closed when any music is playing in the interior, and opened when the doors are open, no music of any kind in the interior. And then for the south terrace, no music of any kind should be allowed when the roof is open. And when the roof is closed, it should be quiet background music only. I'd also like to point out that there's not just currently there's not just a plan for a DJ in the south terrace. There's actually a permanent DJ booth that's part of the plans, and I think that's completely inappropriate. In addition, I would suggest that the south terrace roof should be closed by 7 p.m. In case board members aren't aware, there was recurrent problems with noise at Provocateur coming through that roof, particularly when it was open, but even when it was closed, it was a major problem. And that's why I think even with that roof closed, it's got to be quiet background music only. And then last, I would like to at least ask about the possibility of a limit on the number of private events that would buy out the entire space. I'm not sure if there are plans for anything like that, but if there are, there should be just some discussion of a limit on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. All right, so
All right.
next
So
up, hold on.
Sorry.
There are a lot of people that want to speak. So write good notes and then give me an opportunity later on to reply. Okay, we can't go back and forth.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Yeah, no, you guys have never done this before, but we got to do it this way. All right.
That's
okay,
absolutely fine.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So Amita Rodman. Are you there?
I gotta get her up, hang on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Zach pretty much covered everything I was going to ask, so that's great. I would just appreciate either the committee chair or the applicant, after all these Q&As are done, to just quickly review the overall hours, because there's a general porosity amongst the spaces and the ability to move around, and the hours are going to matter quite a bit, which is why the door closing and the points that Zach made are important. That's all I have to say. And you have my other comments.
The hours are 2 a.m. 7 days a week, 2 a.m. through the entire space, except for that outdoor terrace. Okay.
2 a.m. throughout for the entire space?
For the entire space, it's posted on the questionnaire on our community board website. 2 a.m.
Okay.
Not the outdoor terrace is.
I said that, not the outdoor terrace.
Not the, when you say the outdoor terrace, just to clarify, you mean the northern smaller outdoor terrace?
That's
Since they're
correct.
both being called the terrace.
That's right.
Thank you for clarifying that. 2 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday is extremely difficult this close to the residential areas.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I saw that Joyce Goldman had her hand raised, but now no longer does.
No, I do.
Okay, good. I'm going to call on you, Joyce. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. I would like to echo what Zach and Amita just said. These are two egregious legacies in the neighborhood coming together. I would really second Zach's request that there be no live music, no DJs, quiet background music in the interior spaces only. I just cannot imagine this not being a dreadful problem for all of those of us who live in the neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Goldman.
Thank you.
Now I have Ernest Herman. Ernest, do you want to come forward? Go ahead, Herman. You might have to unmute yourself.
I think, hear me now?
Gotcha.
Okay, good. I'm Ernie Herman. I have been living, God help me, on the corner of Gansevoort and Hudson Street for 50 years. I'm self-diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and the source of the trauma is largely the 8 to 10 years that Provocateur occupied the space we're talking about now. It actually goes back further to when a restaurant called Ono, run by Mr. Chataro, was there. I'm having flashbacks because we heard many of the same promises from the Provocateur people on more than one occasion. We had lectures on the science of soundproofing, and in practice, the glass building does not hold back the noise. We hear it. Let me jump quickly to, now prior speakers have covered a lot of this, and I'll try not to stay on it too long, but I know from experience, and other people who've spoken know, that when that roof is retracted, any music is disturbing music to the neighborhood. It is actually louder around the area than it is in the club itself, because the music bounces off all the buildings here and gets enlarged. From everything I've heard, and I've been sitting here like everybody else listening for an hour and a half or so now, this is not going to be as bad as Provocateur. This is likely to be worse than Provocateur. Provocateur may have been licensed for 7 days a week, but in practice, Provocateur operated 4 days a week. They did not, Sunday night, Monday night, and Wednesday nights, they were not open except on very, very rare occasions. So there was some relief from the disturbance and the noise. 2 a.m. is better than 4 a.m. But if you're being kept up by the noise till 1 or 2 o'clock, you've still lost your night's sleep. And that is clearly what is coming. I'm sure these are all nice people. I'm sure they're well-meaning people. We knew some very nice people in the operation of Provocateur, and some of them really tried. But DJs are in the business of playing loud music loudly, and they're going to do it. I have more to say, but I think all of us have taken enough time, and I will release it back. If there are any questions of me, I'll be glad to answer them.
Yeah, Mr. Herman, just so do you live at 653 Hudson, also known as, oh, I'm sorry, do you live at 345 West 13th Street?
No. I live at 640. I live just south of the premises, on the southwest corner of Gansevoort and Hudson. It used to be 30 Gansevoort Street. The address now for many years has been 649 Hudson.
And do you represent the people in that building as well?
I think I could say I represent the people in that building, but in that building there are only 3 apartments.
Okay, okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. And so your apartment faces the establishment, right, on Hudson Street?
I am overlooking at this very moment the glass structure, at which I have sorely been tempted to throw stones, but I haven't done it yet.
Understood. Thank you very much. If anybody else has a question on the committee, I just make sure. Donna, go ahead.
Well, we still have one more person that
I'm going to let them speak. In case there was anybody that had any questions for Mr. Herman, that's all.
No, I have no questions for Mr. Herman.
Okay, great. So next up is going to be Henry Strauss. Hopefully I pronounced that name right. Come on up, please. Go ahead, Henry. You gotta press the unmute button. Let's see. Do we have Henry up?
I'm trying, but there.
Got me now?
There you go.
I'm just very concerned, one, about the sound, because the former place was terrible, and any person facing north in 61 Jane Street is just blasted with the sound of that place. And the other thing I'm concerned about, which nobody talked about, is where are all the limousines going to be? Because that's a big bus stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. And you said 61 Jane Street. How many people live in your building?
It's 200 apartments.
Okay. I take it all the apartments don't face the building in question, but a number of them do.
All the north and east facing apartments would be affected.
Thank you very much. Okay. Give me a second here. I lost my, there we go.
Louise?
I'm going to go with Mary Wolf. Go ahead. Take your time, Mita. We'll get you. Or, I'm sorry. You got to press unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm a resident at 345 West 13th Street and have been for 20 years. Our apartment has about 46 apartments. The noise is terrible. In the past, I mean, we changed our windows. I can still hear the music, the sound. I support totally what Zach has been saying, and Joyce and all the others who have gone before me. I think in approving this kind of thing, you really have to understand and support the neighborhood. The music is terrible. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. And we did get a letter from your building in opposition earlier today.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that, but we got one from the board of directors.
I know that the management company was in support of that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. Les Dickert, are you here?
Hi, yes, hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for your time. I know everyone's time is precious. I live at 61 Jane also. I face east. I would just like to echo what Amita and Joyce and Henry have said. It's not just people who face north, it's also people who face east who have been very much affected by this sound from the previous space, and we share the same concerns about this current applications. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Louise Weston.
Okay. My name is Louise Weston. I live at 61 Jane Street. Thank you to everyone for your time. We're so grateful. I think Bagatelle is fun. I think it's a really beautiful place, and I enjoy sitting and having a beer and some lunch on a beautiful day. But it is the wrong place to open up a provocateur. That spot is way too close to my building, 61 Jane Street. There's 250 apartments, so there's about 500 people who live here, and we cannot sleep at night when there's parties that close. I think it's so great that you want to have a beautiful, fun party space, but it is absolutely too close. And I thank you all, and I thank Zach and Amita and Les and Joyce and Ritu and everyone, Donna and Henry. And I hope that you will restrict the noise that we are going to live with. It's going to keep us up every night. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Amita Rodman. Did you raise your hand? You need to unmute, Amita, if you want to speak again, or if you want to speak.
Just a very quick point. On the 2 a.m. closing 7 days a week, I want to point out that, like it or not, about 10 to 15 minutes before any closing, doesn't matter how full or empty a venue is, we have what in our neighborhood at 61 Jane we call last call music, where everything gets amped and ramped up. So, you know, things might be okay after midnight, and then suddenly on a Tuesday at 1:45, it's really noisy. So that's why I'm just reinforcing a point I made before about the 2 a.m. closing and why it is horrendous for all of us. And just to be clear, we're about 500 residents at least at 61 Jane.
Okay. You guys, Donald and Ren, I'll let you respond if you would like.
Yes.
There are still other members of our community board that have questions for you, but I'll let you respond. Okay?
So just one thing I'd like to say, because obviously these are compelling comments that we've heard, and obviously Zach's first intervention was the one that had the most suggestions and whatnot. So as I said and sorry for interrupting you, Zach, earlier, not my intent, but so the one thing we're not prepared to do is not to have DJ booth. However, I think that, again, like we said, the cafe space, the one with the retractable roof, being meant to be a more grown up with lower sound levels and whatnot. I think that the roof opening and closure can definitely be met, with music restrictions. Absolutely. I think that, our idea of opening the roof is not to have crazy music playing at the same time. It's really much more to be able to enjoy your beautiful day and whatnot, whether it's lunch or afternoon or early evening. So we would have, I don't think, any issues. And, my director of operations here, so if I'm saying something stupid, let me know. And hopefully my partner who's not here is not going to kill me for saying that. But I don't think we would have any issues in committing to, first off, the roof to be closed on any given night at 10 p.m. And for the time that the roof was open, to not have any music or anything else than, you know, low background restaurant music, nothing that would be louder than, you know, I would say voices or whatnot. So that's I think is something we could definitely live with. That's the concept there is not to have a party. It's not to have raging music or people dancing and whatnot. So I don't think there's any issues in making that commitment. Number one. As far as forgive me because I don't call them North or South Terrace, but the smaller terrace that is on the Hudson side, that's completely outdoors, connected to the French doors. Again, you know, we already have that commitment to the neighborhood when it comes to our actual Bagatelle space. When it's open for lunch or open for dinner, we always close the doors at 10 p.m. and we typically don't have music while we have those doors open. So we would maintain that, absolutely maintain that. So, you know, yeah, I mean, that's the best answer I can give you to this. I mean, we're not looking to have loud noises and music blasting with doors open and whatnot. That's not at all our intent. So making that commitment is easy.
Right.
There was a comment about, you know, restricting private events and buyouts. We will not do that. We will not agree to that. However, we would, our clients will have to abide by those restrictions, meaning that, you know, they'll have to know that there is, you know, there'll be no music while doors or roof is open, and that the roofs and the doors will have to be closed by a certain time. And I would say that 10 p.m. is a reasonable time, if everyone agrees. And they'd have to, you know, if they're not happy with that, then they'll have to book elsewhere. But that we're also very happy to commit to. I'm not really sure what else I can say. I think these were the main points. Mark, you might have something to add.
I do, and not to interrupt, just to touch base, I just want to point out again that the entirety of this space, with the exception of the fully external space, obviously, is being re-sound designed and redone. So everything is being upgraded from a sound perspective and sound engineering perspective from what it was. So although obviously we weren't part of the provocateur operation, so can't speak of it, what we can speak of is a significant improvement we're making in sound insulation and reduction in all the spaces, including the costly replacement of every glass panel in that retractable roof, which is no small expense and is being done for sound dampening purposes. And also to point out again that every one of our egresses have a double egress to serve as an additional sound vacuum as people are going in and out of the space. Donna and I spoke about this briefly last week, but when we take an old space like the current Bagatelle and we do our best to mitigate sound and sound coming out, all we can really do is remediation because that space is already structurally built. One of the wonderful opportunities that we have here is we are rebuilding the space, and that really gives us the opportunity inside and out within every wall to make sure that proper sound dampening is indeed in place.
Okay, I just make sure you guys had an opportunity. Are you guys all done? Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm going to Carter or Donna, because there are a number of community board members have additional questions. And
yeah, sure. You know, Shirley hasn't had a question yet, so maybe we should let Shirley go first.
Well, she did, but I'm going to let her go. So go ahead, Dr. Smith.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, yeah. When they were talking about the suit, I do have a quick question. I was very concerned. So I want to ask the applicants, you spoke about how you have this process of coding customers. Who does that? And is it more than one person that does it? Because it can really easily lead to discrimination.
Yes, so Dr. Smith, if I may answer that. So a lot of that is automatic, you know, let's put it that way. You know, you can link, I mean, and I'm not a technology wizard, so I'm going to try to say it with my own words, and hopefully that'll and then Roma is much more savvy than I am in technology, so he'll take over. But basically, you know, we're able to link our reservation system to our point of sale, and it's basically able to link it to the bill, okay, of the customer. And we have keywords that it can identify. So let's say you're a wine drinker, so it can say label as wine drinker, don't pay anyone, regular based on the number of visits and whatnot. These are really the tagging that takes place. Then we were able to manually add some tags, which is the ones we were referring to earlier. Now it is limited to the Metro D or to a manager. It is no longer in the hand of the hostesses, what used to be the case when we used Open Table. So now it's much more restrictive, password protected and whatnot. So because you're right, at the early stages of coding, when Open Table had that, you could add any type of notes, birthdays and whatnot, and at the time it could get out of hand because you didn't have the ability to have it password protected. Now it's a whole different type of technology, and we believe that this is taken care of. And you're right, these are serious concerns to have, and we have them. Romain, am I correct?
Yes, so exactly as Remy said, it used to be the technology was in restaurant, the technology is always behind. So a few years back, you had to add all tag manually. Now it's done. Let's say you come for the first time to the restaurant, you make your reservation, you will have a tag saying that's your first time at the restaurant. Nobody put it, it's automatic because the system knows that it's your first time. If you come a number of times and you always order something, the next time you're going to come, maybe after 3-4 occurrences, if there is a pattern, it's going to tell me that you like this product specifically. This way, when you come in, I know that you like this kind of champagne or this kind of wine or this dessert, and I'm able to maybe send one for you or recommend it to you or make sure that I have it in stock. Now, for before, everything was added manually and people were playing with that. We definitely, it's not the case anymore. And now most of the tags are automatic. The rest are for us to say who is a regular customer. If there is any specific on the reservations that have been requested, and it's so done at reservation time or by the manager now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Okay, we have Lois. Do you have another question, Lois?
Yes, I do. What is your dress code?
So, I mean, typically our dress code is casual chic. We would rather long pants and shirts, or I mean, t-shirts are fine. We just try to avoid, the sneakers. But when I say sneakers, they're more like the tennis shoes that you go running with. We try to maintain a casual chic type of atmosphere.
And who determines this? Who determines that the person is properly dressed or not properly dressed at the door?
So typically, well, listen, on nights that we have our doorman that the doorman does, although it's not really his prime role, he's not a fashion critique, so we really have to come in flip-flops and shorts and with real pretty bad not to be let in. Okay. Now but on a regular night, it's inside the restaurants and the hostess, but that really rarely happens. People that come to Bagatelle, you've seen it, are usually, pretty much, they'll come for brunch dressed like a Saturday night, so we rarely have those issues, but I would say their dress code is mostly casual chic.
But you said you can restrict people by the way they dress, so that seems to be very subjective.
No, if I may, if I may, I'm gonna give you an example. If you come with flip-flop, when we say that we want a dress code, we cannot allow anybody in flip-flop in the restaurant. Not only because we don't want to, because we can't. You can't come in a restaurant with flip-flop, it's dangerous. Okay, insurance don't cover you if you have flip-flop. We don't want any baseball cap inside the restaurant. So we ask people to uncover their head if they have a baseball cap. So usually they go with it. And that's mainly for this kind of stuff that we apply the dress code. Now, we're not going to judge if you come dressed, if we like it or not. It's not that subjective. It's mainly for if you come in flip-flop, shorts, and baseball cap, you're not properly dressed. So it's, as Remy said, we rather have long pants, no flip-flop, no baseball caps.
My next question is, do you have a late night menu? Will you
No.
have a late night menu?
No, we have our full menu until the kitchen closes.
And my last question is, will you kind of promise that you will not move the tables a little bit away? So when people move out and you have more space, that you would move the tables so that people might be able to sway to the DJ? I mean, it's not dancing, but you can
You mean
move
having
the
a dance,
tables.
like creating sort of a dance floor?
No,
So yeah, so
just
yeah,
move
yeah,
the
I
table so
understand.
people could get closer to the DJ or listen to sway to the music. I'm very familiar with late night dining.
So
I've seen it done.
Yeah, if you've seen Bagatelle, our issue is usually that we have more cranked space than open, because we tend to have a little bit more tables than less. But yeah, we're not going to be moving tables so that people have room to dance and try to create some good dance floors. We're not going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And Ritu, you have a question?
Yes, final question is, what are the rules prior to closing? So if your closing is at 2 a.m., by what time will you stop the music and encourage folks to finish up?
So that's a question for my operators.
Sure. So from an application perspective, we're asking for a 2 a.m. license. We don't honestly know at this moment, in full transparency, that on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday night as perfect examples that will even have business to operate through 2 in the morning. So that's rather a difficult question to answer. But as a standard, we tend to close the kitchen 1 hour before we close the actual establishment, meaning last order into the kitchen as a general rule. And we tend to do a last call between 30 and 20 minutes before the restaurant closes as well. And just to touch on an earlier comment, in our business model, we're not a fan at all of amping up the music to do a last call. Rather, we tend to actually quiet it down to get people active and ready to leave rather than the other way around.
And that usually happens 30 minutes prior. 30 minutes prior, we start to tone down the music and bring it down. We want to be, people need to understand that the night is over. They don't have to go home, but they can't stay here.
So would that mean that half an hour prior to closing, the music may be turned off? Or
It doesn't get turned off, but it's going to go from, it's going to significantly lower gradually in level all the way to turning off. Now, bear in mind, we're talking about evenings here, huh? And we're talking about.
I'm really concerned about the Sunday through Thursday, is if there could be a restriction on that music to be turned off half an hour prior.
I mean, we could significantly lower the sound half an hour prior. Absolutely. I mean, anyhow, that's the idea. We wouldn't turn it off because that's abrupt, but we would definitely, be willing to lower it drastically so that it's not, you're no longer in a realm of music that would indicate that the party's going to go on or is going on.
Thank you.
Okay, so Carter or Donna, I'm sure you have some questions. I'll let either one of you go.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. First of all, just going back to you had said that you thought it might be a challenge of finding people that you could hire in the neighborhood, which was a question that was posed. I mean, there's plenty of diversity in our community that fit, what you said that you wanted to do outreach. We have Fulton Houses, which is just a couple of blocks away. Our neighborhoods are full of people of all sexual orientations in the immediate area. So just want to put that out there. The Meatpacking District is an area, is just a couple blocks, but the local community is much broader than that. And just as a point. Second, Remy, you had brought up, that you guys were involved within the community when you first opened Bagatelle, but one of my favorite memories of Elaine Young, who was very involved, was, who is this Remy Labat? And she said it for 2 years. So you weren't here, and so just want to bring that up.
I'm not done yet. And Donna will testify to that. Elaine and I, actually had, before we ever met physically, I'd exchanged lots of email, and I think that was more.
Well, that was her point.
The
is
context.
That you were never
physically
involved
met.
in the physical conversations. Yes. As far as you know, to Zach's point, when Bagatelle was opened, that was supposed to be the restaurant for older people that was chill and sophisticated, and yet now you're saying that's not what it was or is, and you're saying it's another place that has a retractable roof will be that. And so I think that's a bit of a concern. There's also a history at Villa Pacri, you know, which was not very good with the local residents. Your other partner in this, Jonathan Siegel. I was just out the open streets on Little West 12th Street in STK. You got a DJ out on the street blasting music. So, you know, you guys aren't really coming to our community with a particularly good history. And, you know, yeah, we're going to soundproof the glass retractable roof, which we could open. No, we won't have no music. We'll have background music. Bagatelle was supposed to have background music. I mean, you know, it's difficult to reconcile all of these things because it just seems like we're creating another instance of now two different named places that are going to be problems in the community. And this is what happened. This has already happened. You're asking us to do this a third time. So
if I may, I'll answer your point in two things. I don't recall at the time, and to be honest, it was 8 years ago. And I don't, if that Bagatelle was always meant to be, you know, what we did, always meant to be a party atmosphere, but what we did say, and what we still, you know, is that, you know, we wanted to have a more sophisticated feel, especially early in the week. And to be honest, and I think that's also the reason why we're very attracted to the other space that offer twice the space and able to do 2 rooms, if I may say, is because we've realized in the last 3 or 4 years that, you know, the party has been taken over the fine dining, if I may say, right? So our business has skewed more and more towards the weekend, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with having, you know, little business or not as much business as we would hope on the Sunday nights, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday nights, but also lunch or lunches, you know, if it wasn't in the summer, our lunches were pretty slow. So I think that, you know, that's something that for us is not a good thing, right? You know, we want our restaurants to be full. So the ability to have another area, another room that's dedicated just for that purpose, so that we can build a clientele and not concerned to be caught up in the crossfire in between, you know, the end of a regular dining and party was very attractive and important for us because we have a whole range of clients that are looking for that, right? So for us, that was a true disappointment, to be honest, that we haven't been able to deliver or conquer or translate our clientele that would enjoy weekend come early week or even early seating. You know, 7 p.m. seating for us is also usually pretty slow. So that's you know, something we're looking to achieve with the Mademoiselle space. You know, the one group is no longer going to be involved in the new space. We're referring to Jonathan, the one group, and STK. They're no longer involved in our operations. So, and I can't.
They're listed on the application.
Mm-hmm.
We just got this a couple days ago. Is this just new development?
I mean, they can be listed on the application. You might have Jonathan Siegel. You might have Jonathan Siegel. You might have Jonathan Siegel in his own name as a 10% partner.
Yeah, Jonathan is on.
Yeah,
well, that's the person. He's going to be on the license.
No, but that's obviously corporate business. But but Jonathan, you know, is no longer the CEO of the one group. He's now on an honorary status. He's moved to Colorado, and he's retained a 10% ownership in our whole company or whole co. But he's not. But that's not at all a one group involvement or operation. That's really on his personal. And obviously at 10%, you don't really have an operational say versus the old Bagatelle, you know, the one group, when the current, I shouldn't say the old, it's the current one, the one group has a majority stake in it. So that's also a major difference.
And then what about Villa Pacri?
Villa Pacri, the one group, had never been involved in that.
Oh, but you guys were.
Yeah, we were, absolutely.
Well, that's my point.
But I mean, I don't recall having issues at Villa Pacri because the ground floor was just a pure Italian tutorial. There was not even the only DJ we had was in the in the basement. And I don't. To be honest, either my memory fails me, or I mean, I know there was a lot of concerns when we applied about that with the Bagatelle history that Villa Pacri. But Villa Pacri, the La Gazzetta was a pure tutorial. There was not even DJ or amplified music on the ground floor. The second level was a fine Italian dining that had limited music. It was the lounge in the basement that was that 60-person lounge that had music, but I don't recall that being an issue with the neighborhood then.
No, it was rough around the edges. So
maybe my memory's done, but I mean Bagatelle. I mean, I know that Bagatelle has always been something that we've been working on in the community. That's been the subject of many conversation, obviously. But you're right. I mean, look, to the point that for us, it's been a failure to be able to translate that fine dining to our customers. When they came to Bagatelle, then they wanted to have that party. And someone mentioned that earlier. They come for celebration. They come in larger groups. We don't necessarily get the couple coming for dinner on a date night and so on. So that's why, for example, that's also why we want a different name for the second room. We want to brand it differently. We want to have a different design. We want to have a different experience, because if it was operated under the Bagatelle name, we would not be able to be successful at attracting those customers in that space, if it makes sense.
Donna, do you have something you want to ask?
Yeah, I do, and I'll pick right up on that. The 7 p.m. seating, the layout of this I find very interesting, because you're within the hotel, yet the only access to this, unless you're going through the elevator bank in the back of the hotel, is through Hudson Street. That is not as heavily trafficked. And so the hotel clientele, people won't just see the fine dining area that you're trying to build up on the interior, walking the streets easily. And if it didn't work at Bagatelle, which I think the one thing most of us can agree on was a beautiful space at 6 o'clock in the evening in a primary spot in Meatpacking, when a lot of people are looking to just sit down and have a quiet dinner. If that didn't work there, I'm not sure why it's going to work here. I want to make a suggestion about your dress code, since that issue was brought up a lot, that it's simple. You could do the same thing that other people do, post a sign, no baseball caps, no shorts, no sneakers, and that would make it clear for everyone and not something that people can just judge when they're coming in. I also just want to clarify, we had a conversation last week with the community, with these members. It wasn't just with me, and we didn't agree to anything. There were other people on the phone that brought up security and everything. So I just want the rest of the community board to know nothing was agreed to during those calls. Issues were raised and things were suggested to you to go back and look at. The traffic is a major concern, still a major concern. I went back in and looked since we had our conversation. There's a bus stop there now that was not there when Provocateur was there, and 2 fire hydrants. The people that come out of Bagatelle right now onto Ninth Avenue, if they're all coming out on Hudson Street at the end of brunches, is going to be problematic. Remy, I'm going to disagree with you about not cranking up the music. The music cranks up at 5:15 still. You and I have been having conversations about this for 10 years.
That's why, Donna, that's why I said I precise evenings, because you're right. At brunch, the last call is Frank Sinatra's song, and that's why
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not just.
That's why I wanted to say about evenings. You're right, for brunch.
And I took videos March 10th, February 21st, still this year in the wintertime with my hands freezing, of people coming out drunk, overserved, traffic jams, and music blasting. So that was the last thing I was doing on the weekends before we had shutdown. Nothing has changed. Nothing's changed with that. So that's the pattern that's there. I had a question to see if you were going to have live music in the southern terrace. I do want to say, Mark, when we had our conversation, there was no mention of a DJ booth in that southern terrace. I did notice afterwards it was on the plan, and I specifically noticed it when you sent the new plans. But I believe, my understanding, I'm sure there was no mention of a DJ booth, and I'm quite sure that what was said was that it was going to be quiet background music in there at all times, and you weren't sure where the speakers would be exactly, but that was my recollection of that. So I wanted to clarify that. So I'd like to know if there's going to be live music also in that southern terrace. I'd like to know how you describe live music in either location, and Provocateur, just for the record, Provocateur was closed on Sundays officially and rarely operated on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I think that covers it.
So Donna, two things. One, the traffic pattern in the meatpacking has always been a very difficult situation overall, despite us, and the fact that they now narrowed one lane on Ninth Avenue has made it even worse. Thank God they reopened Gansevoort Street. Remember when that was closed, we would have cars back up all the way down in the West Village and honking. That's always so traffic. You know, I mean, I can't really take the blame for traffic, but traffic has always been an issue in the meatpacking. That's absolutely true. Which by the way, for us is not a convenience. And we also operated the last 2 years with barely a sidewalk, actually no sidewalk for the better part of a year, 2 years without any terrace because of the work that's been happening. So, you know, it's been a struggle in the meatpacking for the last two something years. You're correct when it comes, that's why, I mean, I made sure to, when Dr. Smith, I believe, raised that question, you know, the music goes down, or no, it was someone else, but yes, the music goes down at night, you know, at half an hour brunch. Donna, you're correct. We actually, it's a cold turkey stop at brunch, which is at 6 p.m. sharp. We finish with that. So there's no, the music doesn't lower. It stays at that same level until brunch ends. That is correct. To your definition of live music, so we're not going to have rock band. We're not looking to have rock bands and amplified like live groups in the venue. That the only time that could potentially occur would be for private events, and that should be contained in the Bagatelle space, if we may call it that way, because that's the one that is indoors. It is completely insulated for loud music. So I don't think we're going to see any amplified live bands in the Mademoiselle space. Let's call it that way. DJ wise, you know, we've addressed it. You know, well, yes, there's a DJ, but yes to much lower volume in that space than what Bagatelle's been known for, and yes to, you know, no music or very little music while the roof is open, because again, you know, that's not what we're trying to attract the customers for. You know, to go back to your point of, you know, will it work or not, if people can see, you know, Bagatelle's, the issue's never really been the quality of the architecture in the space and so on. It's just that, you know, a lot of people, the press has always talked about it, you know, despite our efforts to, you know, focus on the food and the chefs that we've had in play that were all high profile chefs. They always focused on the party aspect. So it was always very difficult for us to attract the early dining or the foodie crowd, despite the quality of our menu, because people saw it as a party spot, right? So, which is why for us, we're putting an extra effort and a budget to actually market another name, a new name, a new environment, so that we can focus on the conversation on the culinary aspect of things versus the party. And that's really, for us, is really important. It's an important battle to win. But if we lose it, then we have a problem, because we're not going to operate in that as an extension of Bagatelle loudly. So you know, that's also the commitment that we can make you. Or if that was to fail, we're not suddenly going to start cranking music at 100 dB in there to make that space work. That's not at all what we're looking to do. And we'll have to reinvent ourselves and find a way to make that work under the premises that we're discussing today.
Okay, so Donna, I'm sorry, do you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No, yeah, of course, there's one more thing. Just with the traffic concerns, the thing that you could do wherever you are is really help to move people along, because that also has never been done. They leave at brunch, they hang out, and I have not once seen a security person or a wait staff person ask people to leave the area or help them get their cars, get into their cars, or move on. In fact, I've actually seen wait staff hanging out with them outside afterwards. So that's an improvement that could certainly be made, and that's the last thing I have to say.
Yeah, you're correct on that. You know, some staff have been finishing their shift and going and smoke outside at the end of the shift, for example, and some guests were still there and they were congregating, and that's definitely something that we need to address better on the management side. That's absolutely correct. You know, as far as, you know, we don't have that many security or managers, so we do help some customers get cars, but obviously, you know, it's seldom. There's not that many that we can accompany because there's just physical limitations to it. And, you know, we've been trying to move people along the sidewalk. The real problem is, you know, we don't really have the authority to go beyond that, right? You go tell someone who's sitting on the plaza or is in front of Serafina that obviously, you know, we're not going to chase them around, and so that's obviously, you know, and we understand that's an issue, but, you know, I mean, at one point, you know, we try to do the maximum to our ability, but, you know, also, and sometimes it actually creates belligerent situations because people just take very poorly that we're asking them to move away. You know, right. But it's a point well taken, and it's always been on
the sidewalk in front of your space. Those are the people I understand about the plaza and every place else, but it's the ones.
No, but you're absolutely right. That in front of on the venue, we should definitely, you know, ask them to circulate and not congregate.
The problem with this is going to be what your current location, you're spilling out into Ninth Avenue, which is a disastrous traffic jam. Now what you're going to be doing is spilling out onto Hudson Street, where you were surrounded by residents. So it in a certain way, you know, for the people that live in the area, it's much worse, because now what they do is they avoid the plaza knowing that brunch is out and they have small children and they don't want them to observe what's going on there. Yeah. Now they're going into their building and they're going to have to observe what's going on there. So that's it. There's no reason to debate this.
All right, so I just have a few follow-up questions, guys, and then we're going to put an end to this. So do you, in terms of your security, could you explain to me how many security people are you going to have? When are you going to have security people? The 7 days a week.
Mark, I'll let you take that because you've been working with the security team.
Absolutely. So the number is yet to be determined. That's really based upon need as to the volume of guests and traffic of the particular evening. Obviously, a Monday lunch does not require the same security that a Saturday night or a Saturday brunch would, so we proportion accordingly. We have already signed the security contract with the company. I believe Donald has sent that letter. They've also committed to assisting with traffic control specifically as well within that letter that was sent. And once again, they are a very high caliber company run by all four.
I'm asking, look, I just a very simple, straightforward question. How many security? If you can't tell me, that's fine. Do you have a general idea how many? When?
So Robert, the answer is the numbers worked based upon volume in the conjunction of the suggestion with the security company.
Okay, so you don't really have a number at this point?
Right, we follow their recommendations on best security practices to make certain that we accomplish what we need to do from that perspective. So if they come to us and say, Mark, you need to put on some more members, we immediately do so. And if it's not needed, then we don't. So we really follow.
So Mark, may I suggest we answer the question differently? Romain, how many secretaries do we have on average now in the current Bagatelle? And we can maybe extrapolate to, numbers being almost double. That might help giving a more precise answer.
Sure. So we on a quiet night, I would say Wednesday, Thursday, we will have 2 security guards plus 1 at the door. And on a Saturday and weekend, we go up to 5 security guards.
On Saturdays and Sundays, what time on Saturdays and Sundays do you have 5 security guards?
We have them starting at 1 p.m. To 6 p.m. and then part of them are back at 7:30 when we reopen, and they get back to 5 security guard at around 8:30.
Okay, thank you. And so one last question. So in terms of the hotel, is there anybody in your group presenting tonight from the hotel so that we can ask them questions about, you know, things that have been going on in the hotel, the other liquor licenses that belong to the hotel, and all the transgressions that have occurred underneath the supervision of the hotel?
No, we don't.
I see that. I see that Michael Ackenbaum is
It's a separate.
watching the movie.
It's a separate license and separate licensing.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's nobody that can answer those questions because I have plenty of those questions as well. All right, so Mar, you have raised your hand. I will let you be the last one to ask a question.
Okay, I'm wondering, I just want to be clear and confirm that you guys are no longer involved in the cafe that was originally supposed to be a Bagatelle offshoot on the other side of the street at 18 Ninth Avenue, because I see that your names have been removed in the updated application that we previously heard.
So as far as that's concerned, Mike, a lot of things have happened between COVID and whatnot. So we've been way busy. So right now that's not necessarily the intent, but we're a restaurant group and we're not all nightclub driven. And if we were ever to be involved in this, whether now or in the future, because we control the kitchen of the Gansevoort, it would purely be on the culinary standpoint, and we would only do what would refer as a cafe. We're not looking to do, if we were ever to be involved, which is not the case right now, we would go to exactly what Michael and you are discussing, but there's nothing that's being discussed as far as us being involved right now. Okay. It was the case, yeah. I'll give you a truthful answer as far as I'm concerned. I would like to operate that space because I would like to, control the food aspect of things in the venue. But right now, Michael and his father are looking at it at a different angle, and it's their space, so they decide.
Okay,
Bob, I just wanted. So I went and pulled, since I'm in the community board office, I went and pulled the files for Bagatelle, and the original description was a sophisticated French restaurant that provides a fine dining experience. That was the description of the original.
But that's what it is.
Okay, now that's a great lead into my last question is, what sophisticated fine dining French restaurant has 5 security guards on the weekend?
Actually, you could, look, I don't think the two that the two are related in any shape or form. A security guard has nothing to do with the quality of your kitchen and your servers. So I think that question is a little difficult to answer. But I'll tell you this: we're celebrated not only French restaurant in New York, but we are globally. And our chefs we're the only group in the world, and that's very important to note. We're the only restaurant group in the world under one name that actually pours that much money into executive chefs that are 3-star trained and are all in their own standard executive chefs. We don't have a corporate chef with chef de cuisine like a chef or anyone does. So we take our food very seriously. I think that the Meatpacking is a very specific destination because of its crowd. So even if we were less party, we would still have security. But the party element, the festive element of Bagatelle is what requires the security. And if you were to go to Saint-Tropez in the summer, in some of the most celebrated destinations for both food and part, you have security. It's the South of France culture is very the bon vivant, the celebration of lifestyle is extremely vibrant, and that's, that's what it is. So, I mean, I can't say that I would relate the quality of a kitchen to its having security or not. I think the two are unrelated.
Okay.
Bond, there are other fine dining restaurants. Cipriani in the city would be a great example, who do have several security guards on staff for also the protection of their guests in the environment. So it is not unheard of.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. We're going to put an end to the, it's been 2 hours and we've taken a lot of time. And obviously there are a lot of people that are very interested in this application. So I'm not disturbed by the 2 hours. It's just pointing out that we have taken a long time. We still have another application that will also take some time. And so I want to thank you all for coming and presenting tonight, and everybody from the public. I appreciate you coming down and letting us know what you have to say as well. But I'm going to move on to the next application.
Well, thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
And we'll remain available if needed.
Great, thank you. So the next application, it's going to be Restoration Hardware. So if you guys could raise your hands and we'll bring you up as an attendee. I got David, Casey, and Timothy.
Yep, that sounds right.
Correct.
Great. And so I got Casey. You want to just say hello real quick? So I know.
Hi everybody. How you doing? Casey.
Okay, that works. And what about the other two? Oh, Tim.
Hello.
Can you hear? Okay,
Yep.
good. And then we're waiting for one more person.
David? Oh, I saw David's name.
I don't see David yet.
Is David joining?
Yeah, his hand is raised, but we're working on getting him.
Okay.
Sorry, I was somehow disconnected, but I am here.
Oh, okay, good. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, great. So everybody's there. So Donald, why don't you give your presentation and tell us what this application is about?
Sure, thanks. So as you know, RH has the 5-story gallery on Ninth Avenue. It is licensed for beer and wine only. And when we applied, it was for the entire 5-store gallery. So the floors 1 through 4 are principally design and showroom space. The 5th floor is an indoor fine dining restaurant with a full menu, and there is an outdoor terrace around that. There is also what was the 4th floor and then became the 3rd floor, a barista bar with a service bar for beer and wine. The original beer and wine license, when it was issued, covered, as I said, the entire space. There were limitations on hours and music, and there was a fair amount of discussion on use of the 5th floor wraparound terrace. The original plan was for it to be an outdoor design showroom, and it was approved on that basis with the understanding that there would not be any dedicated staff that would serve out there. There would not be service of food, beer, or wine on a regular basis, and that it would be on a rare instance if someone was served there or someone could go down to the 3rd floor and bring up a drink. And that's more or less how it was approved. Along the way, right about the time of the opening, there was a plan to modify that and change that. The RH Food and Beverage team went to the State Liquor Authority to make some sort of last minute changes, and there was a lot of tension about how that was done through another law firm. The layout changed, but the operation of the roof outdoor portion remained the same. Since that time, a couple of things happened. One is that the food and beverage team at RH has been now completely changed. The group that managed it before, the gentleman that appeared before you, all of the instances that we did appear before you, were all discharged, I don't know, about 7 or 8 months ago. I don't know exactly when. There's a new food and beverage team that's in place. They fully understand all of the conditions in terms of the license. They are committed and have been committed to adhering to and following all of the conditions in terms of the license. I can tell you that I also had a call with Gary Friedman, who's the CEO of Restoration Hardware, who was very concerned and committed about adhering to all of the conditions and complying with what is required of him. Nevertheless, the plan since about a year ago has been ultimately to turn what was originally intended to be outdoor design space to an extension of the restaurant. So a couple of things are being done in that regard. One thing, and there are 2 applications before you. One is an alteration application. The alteration application is to get rid of the barista bar on the 3rd floor. It's not serving a purpose that's really beneficial to RH. People were going down there and getting a glass of wine or a beer. They were going to other floors, sitting on furniture, coming out to the 5th floor outdoor space. It's really not what was intended and really not what was designed. So the easiest way, there are a couple of ways of dealing with that. The easiest way, or one of the easiest ways of dealing with that, is just to eliminate that bar. So the alteration is just to remove it. We're going to take it out, and the space that it occupied is just going to be design space. There'll be other collections that are placed there, just like on the other floors. As a result of doing that, there is no bar in RH at all. There is no place where someone can just walk up and get a drink and walk around. And we think that really is more consistent with what we really want to do and what the new food and beverage team wants to do with respect to the food and beverage operation, which is keep a first-class upscale restaurant. Towards that end, they want to now turn the outdoor space into a full-fledged extension of the restaurant. So the second part of the application is a change in method of operation to convert the outdoor space, which has seating throughout. You've got the floor plan. It's got tables and chairs throughout. That is not changing. That's staying in place, to a full-service restaurant. What does that mean? It means the same menu that is used for the indoor space will be utilized for the outdoor space. Wait staff will now be assigned to the outdoor space. It will be used for seated table service only. It is for meals. It is for would open at the same hours as the restaurant, 9 a.m. until an all-out close of just 11 p.m. So it would not be late night place. It would principally be by reservation only. I'm told that about 80 to 85% of the seats indoors are by reservation. So we expect the same thing to be outside. If there are some tables that are empty and people come in after shopping or walking around the gallery, they'd be seated, but principally it is by reservation. And really nothing else is changing. The indoor restaurant is elegant. People enjoy it. They're limited to beer and wine. We're not seeking a class change to alcohol. And we just want to be able to utilize the space, particularly in the world we're living in now. This outdoor space is even more valuable and more important. That's more or less the application. The only other thing, there's no change in hours. The music that has been approved is quiet background music that ends at 8 p.m. every night. We did 2 sound studies. One was before we filed the application, and then as a condition to approval, we were required, I think within 6 months, to send Alan Firestein back. He did go back shortly after it opened. I don't know if you were there, Don. I know Zach was there for that sound study. And we did send that to you back a year ago. Just to be sure, I sent it back to the CB office today as well. And Alan helped design the sound system, and given its very low levels and all the ambient sound, it is not an issue with that being heard. And in any event, that's already been approved on the license, so that won't change. And that really sums it up. Just to give you the details, there are a total of 23 tables and 110 seats there in the outdoor space. And there is a place of assembly permit for both the indoor and outdoor space.
Hey, Bob,
I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry about that, guys.
And I had a clarification question too.
How about the interior restaurant? How many tables and chairs?
I'd have to look that up. It's not changing. Do you know offhand?
Sure, yes, it's 128 seats and 36 tables.
Okay, and then also you have French doors, right? Exterior.
There are doors that open on two sides of the restaurant that open fully. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and just so we're clear, the music has always been opposed on that rooftop, but yet you were granted music at the state liquor authorities. Is that
no? That's not correct. That's not correct. The music was approved. It's in the stipulation.
Right, but it wasn't approved by us. We were.
Yes, it was.
Okay, all right.
Yes, it was. There were only 3 points of contention during the original approval. One is you don't want us to serve outside ever. You don't want us to have any open windows. I think there were on lower floors open windows, and the question of when to do the sound study. Everything else about RH is consistent with the stipulations, with your resolution. There were no stipulations with your resolution.
And the concern about there being no service out there was because we were being told when the application came in that the restaurant really wasn't a primary part of the business. The business was about a showroom, and that the showroom, all we needed the outside area for was to show off our outdoor furniture. And so the primary purpose was not a restaurant. The restaurant was ancillary. And all along, we understood it to be that, well, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe your ultimate goal was to have service, even though the community in the area was completely against that. So now you're coming back for an alteration for full service and a full restaurant. With how many patrons can sit inside and outside of that restaurant on that rooftop?
200 something.
Yeah.
238.
But Bob, let me just comment about that, because I want to make sure everything is very above board. The original plan is what you said. The original plan with RH was not to use the outdoor portion of a restaurant. The original plan was that the outdoor space was to be exterior furniture, gallery, and showroom. That was the plan. The plan changed, not because of anything underhanded or anybody tried to undermine anything. It was rethinking of the method of operation and the plan. And there was a decision made within the past year that, gee, we think we would rather use the space as an outdoor restaurant rather than a furniture gallery. It was above board, and they came to you, over a year ago with that very request.
So I guess my question then becomes is, what are you? Are you a restaurant with a big outdoor area, or are you a showroom for furniture? What your permit says you can do.
The footprint of this building is very, very large. And you've got how many levels of cellar space? One or two?
There's one level.
So you have one level of cellar space. You have the first floor, second floor, third floor. You have 5 levels of very large showroom gallery space and 1 floor for food and beverage. So I think the answer to the question is, it is a gallery showroom design space with a restaurant.
Okay, and does any of this have anything to do with, is there, you're not making a profit as a luxury retail furniture store? Or how is it that you're now becoming more restaurant in this building than with rooftop deck than what your business actually calls for, which is luxury, high-end retail furniture?
Well, I'll maybe let my client answer that also, but my answer is that, RH is rolling this out in other cities and other places, and they're expanding what they're doing. And you know that because of the fact of the guest house. They never had a hotel. They never had a guest house before. It's a new concept that they're rolling out with their brand, and they're expanding into that part of hospitality. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We've been fully above board. It's morphed, it's changed. It is still basically a gallery.
Okay. we have other people that would like to ask questions. If you're from the public and you would like to speak on this particular item, you need to raise your hand like you did before, or you saw other people do before. Is there anybody from the committee that has a question?
Bob, I can't raise my hand, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
The question is, you went back and were talking about how the third floor barista bar didn't turn out the way you had expected. But we talked about that at length, that people were going to be walking all around with glasses of wine. That's the whole reason, you know, the hours and the rooftop are written the way they are. I mean, it's exactly what was expected to happen. And so I'm not understanding when you're saying that that's not what you planned. I mean, that's what happened. It happened on day one. We knew it was going to happen. We raised that. And so I'm not really sure I'm understanding that portion of it.
I don't think, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I said that we didn't know that that would happen. I think that what I said is that RH wants to go in a different direction and they don't want that to happen now.
Okay. And then the other part is, you know, how is the restaurant an accessory to design showroom when it's fully booked by reservation?
I can answer that. Sorry about that background noise.
Go ahead, Kate.
So our retail experience sometimes takes, you know, hours, days, weeks, months for our luxury home furnishing retail guests. And, you know, by being an integrated experience within the gallery, we save tables and we are able to accommodate any guests that are looking as they are thinking about purchasing. They need to pause. You know, it's a way to keep our retail customers in our galleries while they ponder, while our teams work with them, and even in a way for us to make sure that we can, you know, provide hospitality as an integrated experience to them. So again, we complement the experience to that gallery and that purpose right there. So we would always save spots for our retail guests, and that's an important thing to know.
Have you guys stopped selling outdoor furniture?
No, we have not.
So wouldn't that be something you'd want to be highlighting in your huge 5-floor showroom?
Well, so actually everything that is outdoor and indoor is actually for sale. So by having more guests experience the furniture, we actually see the sales increase of our retail furniture. So by having guests experience the furniture live, by being out there, by dining, everything out there is for purchase. So this actually enhances the brand and that value.
I mean, that's what we were told the first go around. This is supposed to, each section was supposed to be a different setup of different furniture. And when you opened, everything was exactly the same tables and chairs, you know, from the same line. And there was no diversity that reflects the complete outdoor line the restoration hardware had. That's exactly what you guys said when you came the first time. You opened and everything was exactly the same. There are no different sets. And lo and behold, people were out there, you know, they personally saw people being served wine out there. So I'm just not really understanding how the showroom aspect is suddenly, you have this great space to showcase all of your outdoor furniture, and it's
Carter, if I may, this is David Stanchak. Just to answer that question, the entire 4th floor is outdoor furniture, so so that we can sell it year round. It's now all of our displays of outdoor on the entire 4th floor, so that's dedicated to outdoor furniture sales.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did anyone else have any other questions from the committee? Okay, I'm going to call on people that have raised their hands from the public, and if you, I don't know, Zach, are you there still as an attendee, or maybe we have to bring you forward?
Hello?
Yep, I hear you.
Hi. Yeah, thanks a lot. Zach Weinstein, 92 Horatio Street. A couple of things. First of all, I just want to say I've got no objection to eliminating the 3rd floor bar. However, the alcohol and food service on the roof is a very serious problem. Every single place that has rooftop alcohol service in our neighborhood has been a problem. Soho House, Hotel Gansevoort, STK Standard, every single time, no matter what promises are made, it ends up becoming an issue for the community. We end up policing it. We end up spending our time bringing complaints to the SLA. And I would really, really ask that we not be put in this position again. Also, every community member who spoke at the CB2 hearing back in 2017 was strongly opposed to having music on that space. It's very controversial. I personally remain strongly opposed to music on the exterior space, as does every other community person that I know. Now, it's true, I understand that the restaurant team, Daniel Patrick, who had shepherded through this application previously, was let go last year. I think that that's basically irrelevant, because it was very clear when we were dealing with them that they were not making the decisions. The decisions were being made at headquarters in Chicago, probably by Gary Friedman. So the decisions, the bad decisions, were being made by Chicago, and the New York representatives were kind of irrelevant, unfortunately. And there's some history here, and I'll beg your indulgence because it really bears on the credibility of RH at this space and whether or not they deserve another shot at this rooftop. Back in early 2017, there were multiple CB2 SLA committee hearings. RH kept making deals, then coming back and saying Chicago management needed changes. CB2 asked for no alcohol service on the roof, but that's not what Chicago wanted, so we went to the full SLA board in July 2017. Again, CB2 pushed for no alcohol service on the roof. The applicant was—
Zach, just so we're clear on the exterior portion.
Excuse me, yes, on the exterior portion, exactly. Again, pushed for no alcohol service on the exterior roof. The applicant was explicit that they would not have wait staff stationed on the exterior roof. They only wanted the ability occasionally to serve a client who was talking to one of their design consultants. Chair Vincent Bradley said he would approve exterior rooftop alcohol service under these very limited and specific circumstances, and that there could not be routine alcohol service on the exterior roof. But that's not what Chicago really wanted. So in August 2018, Restoration Hardware went back to the SLA full board with no prior notification to CB2, claimed that the SLA decision was ambiguous, which it definitely was not, and asked for full restaurant with beer or wine on the exterior roof. The SLA told them they needed to go back to the community board. In September 2018, there was another SLA full board hearing. The commissioners were unimpressed by RH's constantly changing requests, denied the request for food service, and again explicitly stated that beer wine service on the roof was only to happen in exceptional circumstances such as a client meeting with a design consultant. But that's not what Chicago wanted, so they just ignored the SLA. Throughout the spring of 2019, they had wait staff serving beer and wine on the roof exterior, together with a hostess kiosk to seat people. They turned the exterior roof into a wine bar, despite having twice been instructed by SLA Chair Bradley that they were not allowed to do this. In May 2019, there was an SLA full board hearing for the Restoration Hardware Hotel application at 55 Gansevoort Street for rooftop alcohol service. As evidence that Restoration Hardware couldn't be trusted to obey the terms of its license, we, several community members, submitted photos of waitstaff serving beer and wine to crowds of people on the showroom exterior roof at 919 Ninth Avenue at the showroom. The SLA board, to say the least, was not happy. As a result, Restoration Hardware agreed to stop all beverage service on the showroom exterior roof. But that's not what Chicago really wants. And so here we are back again, same story all over again. And I am honestly, I strongly recommend that we tell them once and for all, you only get so many bites at this particular apple. It's wasting the community's time, it's wasting your time. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Amita Rodman, Amita. Go ahead when you're ready. Let's try. Hold on a second here.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Everything I was going to say actually has been covered by both Carter and Zach. I attended all of those SLA meetings, and I want to compliment Restoration Hardware for actually staying with their closing hours and being very strict about it. The music is audible if you're upstairs, and there is music being played at the roof. I can hear it occasionally at the street level. So overall, it's a beautiful space, and it's clear that people in the community have found it to be a good place to sit and be on their emails and so forth. But there really is a credibility issue, speaking to all the things that Zach just went through and what Carter said. And I do recall the very initial meetings with CB2 that the outdoor space, the terrace, was going to have a variety of furniture. Not at day one, every single thing that was presented has not been as presented. So from the very beginning, from 2017 on, and actually I have observed, because I actually faced that roof, that wine services began before spring 2019. If we were to go through my file of all the glossy advertisements that corporate put out, this has been billed as a place to come, enjoy, eat, and drink from the outset. So I simply want to reinforce the prior testimony. My concern is it's very undermining to credibility to then grant this application. They have not complied with the SLA, and just on the principle of it, it's a very bad precedent. And I do hold to the simple rule for our community that we do not want outdoor music. And what I see happening is that with this huge space, once we put a restaurant up there, they will be back. They've been back several times because the business model changes, and it will morph into something that's not what was intended. Thank you.
Thank you, Amita. And then I have Ritu. Would you have a question, or do you have a statement? When you're ready, go ahead.
We're not able to hear you, Ritu.
Yeah, but you're not on mute, so give it a shot. Huh. Okay. I'll tell you what, Ritu, you keep trying, and if you get through, just say something, and I'll call on you, okay? All right, so I will let you guys respond if you would like to the comments from the community. And I'll give you some time to do that. Go ahead.
Well, the only thing I want to add is just on the process and procedure that Zach referred to. You know, as I said before, there was a change in the intended method of operation. And when that decision was made, RH did come to the community board and did go to the SLA to effectuate and get approval for that change. They didn't get the approval for it. There's no disputing that, but they did come and do it. It's not as if they just did that. Then I think that there were, whatever the food and beverage team at that time did, whatever happened. I don't think it was a case of, you know, the CEO of the company saying, screw everybody, I want to do what I want to do. I think that when Daniel and Patrick went back, they went to the upper level management team of the food and beverage part. So it really was within that group. And that group is the group that has now been replaced. So the history is what it is. You've got a new team involved. You've got a team that's committed to doing very committed to doing what they're required to do. And they have the new vision for the space. It's fabulous space. It overlooks Ninth Avenue. You have WeWork on the other side. You have a very reasonable closing hour. You have a history of them operating an elegant indoor restaurant with a full menu, and they're just taking that and going outside. I don't think it's the kind of operation that's going to create unreasonable noise. It's not the kind of operation that's going to turn into a scene because it's seated table service only, primarily by reservation. And I don't really see it creating that kind of an issue. And it's for beer and wine. It's not even full liquor.
Thank you, Don. This is David Stanchak, and thank you, community board members, for allowing us to make this presentation. And certainly, I'm a president of the company, and we are apologetic for some of the things that have happened, certainly. And Mr. Weinstein talked about Chicago, and actually our food and beverage group. The president of that group was in Chicago. Our corporate headquarters are in San Francisco, California. We've made changes to that leadership team. And of course, we now have Casey and we have and Tim. And Tim's our hospitality leader. I think he's well known in the community. Just a couple of things I would say is that we are an innovative retail experiential retail, if you will. We are innovative and integrated and curated. And, New York is, in our mind, the most important city in the world. And we've built a beautiful flagship that I think has become the anchor for the neighborhood. And from what we're told by, including developers like Bobby Carey and such, that we've been the catalyst for Hermes, for Brunello Cucinelli, who frankly is a personal friend of Gary Friedman's and chose the Meatpacking District because of what we were able to do there with our gallery, and the beauty and genius of the gallery is amazing. Quite frankly, there's nothing like it in the world. And we are very proud to be a part of the community. And I appreciate you, Don, bringing up the fact that, our methods are of the highest caliber, both in how we service our clients, and how we, and how we've integrated the entire experience. So we are learning as we go. This is a new frontier that we've been able to pioneer. There's no one doing what we do in the world. We are becoming known as a global luxury brand, and we're proud that New York is our is really our face towards that. And just so the rest of the community board knows that we will be New York has become sort of the launch pad, if you will, for our global expansion. We'll be opening at England, in the Mayfair district of London, central London, next to Savile Row and some of the great luxury brands right across from the Royal Academy of Arts. We're also opening on the Champs-Élysées in Paris at Avenue Montaigne. And, I think we've done, a job of preserving the history of the meatpacking. I think the exterior of what we've done has been very important and is now known, I think is a landmark. We're very appreciative of you're considering our operation, the interior operation of the restaurant. We've enjoyed serving the community, and I think we've done a good job of that. And so, just in closing, we will be happy, to answer any other questions, but do appreciate Mr. Weinstein's comments, and we're very mindful of it. We're very sort of humble and respectful of it, and we want to put forth what we think will be, a phenomenal experience. It will not be something that you would regret. Give us the ability to utilize the beautiful outdoor terrace for our customers to enjoy. So with that, I'll pause, and if Casey, I think you'd like to say something as well. So Casey, if you'd like to take over from here.
Yeah, thank you, David. And hi, everybody. My name is Casey Eads. And again, like David said, thank you for taking the time to talk with us about our application. And, there were major organizational changes, and I was the person they brought in October to help oversee the hospitality organization. And as I've been learning and just trying to understand where we're at, really analyzing our business in New York in particular, across the board, as you just saw with our application to remove the third floor barista bar, we actually are stopping service of all of our barista bars in all of our locations, just because it's not the brand that we want to be. It's not the guest we want in our building. We're going to focus on just being an innovative fine dining restaurant within a luxury home furnishings store that creates an integrated experience for our home furnishing guests, as well as allows us the opportunity to get new guests into our environment, our ecosystem, to see our product, to feel our product, and be a part of that. So I know that just apologetic for the issues in the past. What we are just trying to do here with New York is operate the terrace just as the restaurant is. It serves beer and wine only. Our hours of operation are not egregious. They're not. It's not a late night restaurant whatsoever. It would be only food and beer and wine. You could not get beer or wine without food on the terrace. 85% or so of our guests in the restaurant right now are from reservations, or the rest are walk-ins or tables that we hold for our luxury clientele for the retail side. And I would also say 60 to 70% of our traffic that was in our hospitality space will not be there anymore. That was the traffic that was coming just for that barista bar. So we purposefully removed traffic from our building, purposely removed sales from our operation, with the hope that this terrace would be able to give us insight to have guests of the community experience a wonderful environment. And yes, there is currently music out there. It is a low audible background noise. There would be no application to change that. There's no need for us to have music besides just the low audible background noise that you can hear from that rooftop, and that's it. That's the main intention of that. And it's not to be a nuisance to anything in the community, not to be a nuisance to anyone anywhere, whether it's in New York or our other properties, and just focus on being a elegant luxury fine dining restaurant in an immaculate space with an immaculate integrated experience that's innovative for what we do. And that's what we're here to talk to you about, and I'm happy to answer any questions about anything else in regards to that.
Okay, so Dr. Smith, you have a question?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. It's very interesting as I listened to this application, and I heard it originally because I've been on the board for a while. My question to you would be, what percentage of your sales are actually from the restaurant, and what percentage are from your high-end furniture in the New York store?
Yes, this is David Stanchak. Approximately 10% of the sales are from the restaurant and 90% are from the gallery sales.
Interesting. Thank you.
And Ritu, are you there? Because you're raising your hand, but we can't hear you. I know you want to speak.
Hey, Ritu, you might be muted on your phone.
I think that's her. I think that's her.
Just I've got really shaky bandwidth, which is why I don't have the.
Oh, good. We got you. Go ahead.
So apologies. So number one, I just wanted to say that I was one of the people with Zach that did the audio testing up on the terrace. There was a lot of community opposition. So I think many of you who were not involved in that on a day-to-day basis don't have those facts correct. I want to reiterate much of what Zach and in particular Amita have stated. And I just want to caution the SLA committee members that, again, we're setting a precedent of a space that faces residents that can be problematic, not only with this particular operator, but going forward as well, whether or not it's operated by RH or I think that's a bad precedent, number one. Number two, I also want to state that the music has been a problem in the past. We've had to call management because you've had folks up there running floor that have not known which way the speakers were supposed to face. And in certain instances, it was directed out and we could hear the music and it was too loud. So it is problematic. is that
We're losing you, Ritu.
license and a
Go ahead.
restaurant. Sorry.
We lost about the last 5 words out of you, so try again. Yeah, your bandwidth is hurting.
Okay, sorry guys.
Now we got you. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say that this is, it's problematic for the community, for residents, for folks, when this becomes the savior of retail, becoming a restaurant. And I think we've seen that during the pandemic when so many of our businesses shut down because that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And I just have a follow-up question to you folks. Is this application, in other words, this decision that you made to change, right, how you're going to use this outdoor space to now a full-service restaurant up there on their rooftop, when was that decision made?
We've been analyzing the business for the last several months, well before the pandemic, and that was definitely an opportunity that we were looking at that would, you know, it gets a new guest or more guests to see our facility, to have a great dining experience. And we've been discussing to remove the barista bar since, you know, initially since when I got here, because it's just not the right guest of our brand. And we are trying to, you know, we are a luxury home furnishing brand. We want a luxury guest in our building and to experience a luxury experience across all boards. And, you know, that terrace really is a luxury experience if you're out there with beautiful views of all the skylines. That it just seemed like it just made sense to fit with the restaurant as an extension of the restaurant, and that only. And that to parlay with the time that we have right now, you know, from the pandemic, to really make the changes to the business, that again, removing the barista bars and removing them everywhere, you know, just to have it be not that like we wouldn't have had that opportunity necessarily to be able to close down and tear out something and to replace it with, you know, kind of merchandising space if it wasn't for this time right now. And so that was the real big pause for us, is using that as, okay, let's remove that. Let's try to get, you know, the terrace is something that we think is just the right experience for our people. It is, again, it's luxury, it's fine dining only, it's not a party, it's not any of those other things. And, you know, that was the precipice for this. And you know, we are from a sales as a business standpoint, you know, who's going to say, you know, who says, hey, I'm going to remove 20% of my business, because of the restaurant sales, that barista bar was 20% of our business. You know, so we're trying to potentially replace that with some of the terrace, which we know is seasonal. Like, we won't be able to seat that year round. You know, they have weather issues out there, you know, late at night. It's not going to be, you know, we're not adding heaters right now or any of those things to the property. We're just trying to get people to be able to enjoy the experience out there and replace some of those sales that we're removing from the barista bar. And those guests are the guests of the RH brand from a retail standpoint. And we want those guests in our building. They complement our retail.
Okay, so the answer to the question is, this is not a COVID decision. In other words, this decision was made before COVID. I think you're not doing it because you're hurting for business. You're doing it because it was a strategic move on your part, and not because of the pandemic, is what I'm getting at.
Well, but the pandemic actually adds to that. As a standalone business, the terrace absolutely helps. As a business, we will actually be unprofitable as a restaurant by itself if we were to operate standalone without the ability to be able to seat additional guests on our terrace. So I think in the short term, with that, to be a profitable restaurant business, without that seating, we would not be profitable. But in terms of a long-term strategy, yes, it is part of the long-term strategy, as it is a brand enhancer, and it gets more guests to see our beautiful spaces, which is important to our brand.
I guess my point is, we have a lot of businesses that have been really hurting in our neighborhoods. A lot of them, whether they're mom and pop or whether they're large retail. We also have, you know, other businesses that are large on Broadway that are retail, and you know, a lot of them are boarded up now and they haven't been able to operate. But mostly, you know, our eating and drinking establishments in Community Board 2 have not been open, and they're hurting. And so when I talk about COVID related, I mean, they need to open up, and they need to open up in an outdoor space because they're afraid that they're going to go out of business. And so, you know, that is not the case here. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I do think that the current situation has accelerated the timing of our request and has made it accelerated. We did not plan on coming, but as a result of the crisis, the decision was made to come now. And the,
Right,
the
but
last thing I just want to say, Bob, to
it's
add,
not profit related. It's not profit related. Would you agree?
I can't speak to that. I mean, look,
Right,
RH
but
is
that's what I'm
closed
talking.
and
I'm talking
RH's
about-
restaurants closed like all of the others. So, whether you want to compare big companies, small companies, sure, it's a large company, but
Yeah,
they
but
are
they're not in the
hurting and
business of
they've been
restaurants.
closed like everybody else.
No, they're not in the business of restaurants. They're in the business of selling luxury furniture.
And,
Okay,
the gallery's been closed and the restaurant's been closed. It's all been
right,
closed.
but they're able to sell luxury furniture, and they've been doing that very well. Would you not agree?
They can sell it online, but they can't sell it in store.
Well, have they not done very well during the COVID pandemic?
I can't
Selling
answer.
furniture, selling luxury furniture.
Frankly, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I don't think that has anything to do with this application. The last thing I just want to add, Bob,
But
is
that has to do with COVID, Donald, and that's why I keep bringing it up.
the last thing I want to say is that I'm sensitive to outdoor space. I get that there are some places that create problems. I get that having a bar and a lounge and loud music and things outside are disruptive to the community. I'm not suggesting that all outdoor space be rubber stamped and approved, and that hasn't happened and it shouldn't happen. But this is a special kind of space. And I think that when there's an opportunity to license something for beer and wine, for outdoor space, sometimes it maybe should be embraced. And I think that this is the time, and I think this is the place to embrace it. Remember, we are going to have no bars in this space, in this building. Nobody can walk and get a drink anywhere, even beer and wine, and walk outside and just stand around looking around and talking and make noise. It can't happen here. It could happen in a restaurant. It can't even happen here in most restaurants that have a bar.
Right, but not yet, Donald. In other words, you're making that statement, but the statement before was very different, and it was a lot less intrusive than what's being asked for today. And doesn't mean you can't come back in the future and ask for more. And that includes an on-premise license. That includes later hours. That includes heaters. You can do whatever you want. You can always come back.
That's true for anybody and any location and any application, any license. It's no different.
Right. And that can happen.
But all we can deal with is what we're asking for today. That's all we can deal with.
Right.
And
but what we've been asked for in the past is now changing yet again. Okay. And so we're expecting it to change again in the future, because that's the history here.
It's what was asking for was changed once, and it was denied the last time, and we're coming back now almost a year later and asking for it again. It's not that it's changed. It was changed once, and here we are again asking for that with a different team that's operating it, and with doing something by getting rid of the barista bar that we also think will help.
Anyway, I apologize for getting a little heated there. All right. I apologize for that. Donna, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll let you have the last.
I just want to make a clarification on something. Did you say that no, I understand everybody will need reservations. If you're not full, someone can come in and sit down. Will they be able to sit down and just order drinks, or will there always have to be a food component with that?
There will always have to be food with it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I can't raise my hand, but I had a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Carter. I'm sorry. I don't see you in my picture. That's why.
Yeah. So one of the things, when you remove the bars on the inside to increase your interior selling space, you're moving that moneymaker outside now into the space that invades the public sphere. And I think that that's really the issue here is one. And number two, I was just looking at your certificate of occupancy, and you never got it to match your number of seats on the interior of your restaurant. It currently says you're limited to 74 occupancy on the interior, and yet you have 128 seats on the interior. And you've probably been operating them at that full capacity. And that's something that you guys promised that you would have all the appropriate paperwork in place when you opened.
Just checking something.
And all 7 of the temp C of Os say that. If there's a 74 occupancy on the interior.
I don't have that in front of me. I have the PA permit that says 5th floor eating and drinking, 300 persons.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
Issued in September 2018.
Here is the current C of O. This hasn't been renewed. You can see over here, the expiration was 1/30. It hasn't been renewed yet. And then if you go down to the 5th floor, you see that there are only 74 people here in the 5th floor eating and drinking establishment.
Yeah, but the PA permit tells you how many people you can have. There's a PA permit for the 5th floor for 300 persons.
Right, but you can only have 74 on the inside, and you have 128 people in there.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know that that's the case. I'd have to look at the PA plans.
Well, the PA plans have to jibe with your C of O. They have to be consistent.
Not necessarily. The PA plans will give you the total occupancy. So the PA plan says we can have 300 people. I don't think the PA plan is 300 outside. It doesn't make sense to me.
If you don't mind, Donald, if you
That's
can
what's on
locate
there.
the PA, could you send it to us?
Yeah, I will.
So you're, just so I'm clear, you're saying that the PA supersedes the certificate of occupancy?
I believe that's the case. I believe if you have a certificate of occupancy, it gives you your intended use. And if it says a certain occupancy, but the Department of Buildings then issues a PA plan, permit for a greater amount, that you can have that.
And is the PA plan matches another filing you probably have for your C of O, but that has never been changed? So you're saying that the C of Os don't need to match what's on the PA because it's not consistent.
I'm
with
saying that I've seen in many instances a CO occupancy that is different than what's on a subsequently issued PA permit.
Okay, I think we did it, guys. It's 9:30. I want to thank everybody at this application for spending the nights with us 3 hours, and Donald for 3 hours. I really appreciate you dealing with us as well, and all of our comments and our concerns and all the other things that go along with being a participating in one of our community board meetings. So I'm going to put an end to the conversation. I really appreciate everybody coming out, and I thank you for doing so.
Thank you very much, council member. Thank you very much, community board members. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everybody, I need to take a little break, and then we'll come back and have a discussion. All the applications are done. So give me a few minutes. If everybody wants to take a break, now would be a good time, okay? All right. It sure is crazy. All right. We don't have to start right now, but I just want to say hello to everybody. And it's just crazy that in the next room they're watching, you know, some movie, and I should be at a community board meeting. I should be in the church. It's just hard to get used to this. And you know, it's kind of funny when people just walk in and they don't realize you're in the middle of a meeting and they start talking to you. Oh, would you like something to eat? Would you like something to drink? Which is nice. And, you know, hopefully you guys have something like that in your house. But everyone's smiling, but everybody's on mute. So, you know, I guess I got the forum. It's great. Hey, Tom, are you there? Tom Connor? I didn't hear from you tonight. Just maybe you could unmute yourself and say hello.
I think he's listening to us, but I'm not sure that his connection is set up to speak. Valerie, do you know?
Yeah, we went over it, but I think I need to send some printouts over there. So we're gonna try to get him an iPad.
Yeah, he's made it to our meetings before. He's you know.
Yeah, it's the June 1st Zoom update that doesn't agree with his older MacBook. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
that's great.
So we moved him to the phone, but I think we're going to try to get an iPad over there this week. So stay tuned.
Well, I would appreciate that, Valerie. That's for sure. So are we?
Can he use the chat if he wants to say something? Oh, he can't chat because he's on a phone.
Yeah, it's probably a little complicated. But
I'm not sure. About that.
But Valerie, well, yeah, it's for time for another point. But he could call in on the phone and talk like on a regular phone, right? So
yeah, that's true.
It's not as good as seeing things, though.
No, but at least he could still contribute then.
Yeah, we'll try to get it. We'll try to get it fixed before the next one.
That would be good. I'd appreciate that because it was kind of nice to see him last time or a few times.
He would too. Yeah, I think he would too. So we'll
exactly. It's even you know, I got to say it, but any interaction you have with other human beings at this point in time is good. Okay, so is everybody ready, or I don't see everybody? So I'm gonna wait till I got thumbs up on everybody, and you can unmute yourselves because we're going to have a discussion.
This is waiting for Tom. So
Ready.
Okay. Dr. Smith, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. And
thank you for asking.
You bet. Because, you know, some people don't have their face on the screen, so I'm not absolutely certain. You know, I got Katie, you're there. Anthony, you're there. Lois?
Yes.
Lois is here.
Okay, great. All right, fantastic. So I got everybody, and I figure we should probably go in order of what we heard. And if you want to do we do the not the Bagatelle, but the cafe, the Gansevoort Hotel Cafe, which is an on-premise upgrade. They were here. They're agreeing to the same stipulations, and it doesn't seem like there's much objection to that. Are you guys fine with the denying less recommendation?
Yes. What application is this again?
This is the cafe. We heard it right at the beginning.
You mean the print, what they call it, Mademoiselle?
That's right. No, not Mademoiselle. No. I'm sorry. I think the gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but
the Gansevoort guy.
Michael Ackenbaum.
Right. But, so
don't everybody speak at once, please. What?
Yeah. Go ahead, Shirley.
No, I'm just saying everybody's chiming in. I'm just trying to get the correct answer so I can make an intelligent decision. So it's
yeah, the very first application was a cafe that is open till 12 o'clock in the Gansevoort Hotel. So it's a little confusing, but it's on the other side. It's not the Hudson Street side. And they had come to us not too long ago for a beer and wine. And so we had stipulations, and they were sent out to the committee to kind of take a look at. They're basically saying exactly that they're going to say all the same stipulations, but they'd like to upgrade to on-premise from restaurant wine. Okay?
Thank you.
That's the application. And if you want, I can go through the stipulations, but It closes
No,
at 12.
I have it on my phone. No problem.
Okay, great. So that's the, I guess, deny unless is what I'm sensing from everybody on that one.
How many full liquor licenses is that going to come out to in the hotel?
Well, four, right? They got one on the roof, right? And that's separate.
And then they're coming back in the basement. They've got the other space that we're hearing tonight, the provocateur space, the old provocateur space.
Chester.
Yeah, they've got that other outdoor space to the north, which I don't know what's connected with what.
Go ahead, Donna.
So I just want to say, Mar, thank you so much for asking that question at the end about them. Not that I was okay with this until you asked that, and I still say I'm okay with it, but I might want to add another stipulation in there about, you know, because Zach, when we spoke with them, and we don't speak for the entire community, but we did say we would support the full OP there, because I do think we have very good stipulations on that space. And to get Bagatelle off, my big concern when they came, some of you may remember, was that everybody would leave that Bagatelle brunch and be hanging out there. So this sort of eliminated that connection. So the answer we got from Remy was not as definitive as what I was looking for. And to Carter's point with the licenses, it's a constant frustration for us in the community when we do deal with them. Everybody, some parts the hotel has, the hotels are small partnerships of, but they don't have the whole thing like the standard sort of licenses that they lease out these spaces. So it's hard to get control of the whole entity. And so they do have the license in Chester, the full OP. They have full OP up on the indoor and outdoor space on the roof. Then this Bagatelle space, which is the other space interior. And at the moment, there's nothing in the basement that was previously licensed. And I would not be surprised, because Michael mentioned wanting to do something in the basement, if they come back to us in a little bit for something in the basement. And everybody denies being linked to each other. So it's hard to get a handle on the whole space and look at the whole space as one unit. But it's a lot.
So deny unless is what I'm sensing. Okay, and I counted 11 community board members on the committee tonight, and I just want to make sure I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is what I count, because yeah, so Tom is not here. I had him before. Okay, so I got 10.
Tom's here, but he's just not able to be interactive, but he is present.
Okay.
So how do we handle him voting, Carter? Can we have him
present but not voting, I guess?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the way okay, so 10-0 on the deny unless recommendation for the cafe. Now let's move on to the Bagatelle application for the old provocateur space. And this would include the Mademoiselle portion of that space, Shirley. Okay, so who would like to open up and talk about it?
I'll just, we didn't hear one positive comment from the community about this. So we don't, it doesn't seem like a very welcome license.
I mean, it's across the board. It sounded to me like it was a disaster. I mean, you know, I live in the opposite corner of our community board, but everyone was begging for this not to ruin their lives more. So I don't know how we deal with this other than to try to listen and fight back against it. No, you're right, Kate. No one has said, this is great, this is what we want, other than the owners.
And nobody's going to, because their clientele is not local by any stretch of the imagination. They cater to tourists and kids that come from outside the city, and they have big parties. I mean, we hear one good thing. I mean, and their history is despicable. I mean, these lawsuits, when Eugene brought up their history of discrimination, and then when they explained the dress code, it is very specifically meant to be exclusionary. It is a discriminatory dress code policy to keep out Black and brown people. It could not be clearer. This is what all the nightclubs were doing in the 90s. It is textbook segregation.
Mar, that is spot on. It's not only Black and brown people, but also, depending on who is at the door, it can be homophobic. Their record of operations per se, but it's also the structure of the space that they're taking over.
Sorry.
And ageist as well. But it's also the structure of the space. It is going to wreck the community to have a 2 a.m. weekday live music, live DJ close. It's going to affect 265 apartments at 61 Jane Street. And it's also going to include all of the residents on Hudson Street. It's also going to be problematic for DOT with respect to the buses that park along that side, with having limos that are going to be pulled up to the curb and double parked over there. So there are a variety of issues in the way that they have planned this space. And no matter how many window panes they put up there, it is not going to dissipate the noise coming out at the level that they play. And the fact that they aren't going to test the volume after they do their construction is just, I don't get that.
You do get that.
Also, I don't believe a word of, I don't believe that they're not going to be involved in the other cafe. I believe that they're going to have a monopoly on that entire block with Mlosku on that weird little corner. And that is going to be, I mean, I don't even know what it's going to be.
See what's coming.
It's going to be insanity. Like insanity on every side. It's an entire city block.
Yeah.
When you said that, Mar, I thought of that guy who used to do the commercials in New Jersey for the Wiz or whatever it was.
Crazy Eddie. Crazy Eddie.
That's right. Thank you.
Crazy Eddie. Oh my
Great.
goodness.
That was great. That was very.
He was
smart.
from Brooklyn.
Yeah, he was from Brooklyn.
So just to ensure that we've got, I think that those are other points are really obviously clearly important points. Just structurally on the space, I think we really need to make sure we're clear about this enclosed area. I mean, this enclosed area is outdoor area. Let's just be frank about it. It is zoned as outdoor area. They put a retractable roof on there in order to have some more leeway in its operations. And that has never been successful in recent times. And so we should be very clear in pointing that aspect of this out, that forget the other ones, which are very important, but just clearly on the physical space, so that we can make that note, whether or not it's this applicant or anybody in the future, that the space physically is a problem. And that just piling up more panes of glass on top of existing glass is not going to resolve that issue, because it's basically trying to circumvent the regulations of indoor outdoor space. But ultimately, the background music of today is the background music of Bagatelle, and we all know the background music, even with the retractable roof open, is just not acceptable in general parlance. But I absolutely agree with what everybody else has said, but I just want to make sure that we fully document the issues in the physical space as well, so that it's there as a record in the future. And also they're unenclosing the northern outdoor area, which was previously tented over, I believe, and was used, I think, for lining up people a lot, right? But
that northern area, I don't think was what the northern area actually was used for when Provocateur was open in the last few years. It was a separate entry for another little club that I don't know how that was licensed in the inside. That was another 4 a.m. license, and that door would be open and blast the music out. Provocateur would blast the music out.
And then just and then segregating out the inside space, which it could theoretically be soundproof, but this exterior just, it's not okay to even envision it remotely.
And Carter, can you imagine 390 people or 350 people leaving between 1:30 and 2:30?
I understand. Yeah, I mean,
7 days a week?
I'm just saying, you know, I dealt with a long time with provocateur, you know, and the issues back then. I'm just want to make sure it's clear so that everybody goes back to referring to this in the future, that it's really outlined fully. But I think that you know, Mar had touched on issues that relate to the character of the establishment, which, you know, rise above the physical issues that are just there. But we need to make sure we cover all the bases on that. And also, I mean, do we really want to double the issues by doubling the size? You know, just
with a large outdoor space. I mean, 110 people, what bothers me, I mean, in describing the space, it's 110 people outside, 110 people on their own, forget the music, you know, having a nice time. I'm sure many of us have walked by Barbudo, which I don't think they really had music. They were loud at night with a very lively group of people having dinner. So then you take background music on top of that, even if it was a regular normal place that really was doing background music has to get louder to be heard over 110 people. So that space really is a nice little tea place or something, but it doesn't work for any applicant in my mind that's going to put any music in there whatsoever, ever, for anybody. This is exactly what we heard and why they put the roof on when they came. And even when it was not the DJ blasting, you know, which was never supposed to be in that room, it was always in another room, the neighborhood, as you've heard, and I live right there all the time, up until they closed in January of 2017. It was a continual problem, and the space just doesn't work for that. It needs a basement if they want a DJ.
Bob, can you call the question?
Sure, but before I call the question, I agree with you, Shirley. Because I could not ask the questions because the hotel, there was nobody from the hotel there, but I did a little bit of research in terms of the violations and SLA violations that have taken place at the provocateur spot. And they really, you know, some of the allegations that they basically paid a $20,000 fine for was false material statements, change of facts, noise, nuisance, disorderly premises. And it all comes down to the fact that they never said that they never said they were going to do what they said they were going to do. And then this retractable roof, you know, they just couldn't keep it closed. And that was the problem. And so I bring that up because that does matter, okay? Because the people that lived in that area have been bombarded with the prior problems at that location. And what has the Gansevoort Hotel done? Okay, they blast music out of the Chester. Okay, there's all sorts of complaints about that as well. And so I think for me, that's the important thing, is that this is the wrong location, the wrong business in the wrong location. There can be a business that goes into that location.
The wrong operators.
And certainly it's the wrong method of operation. It is a restaurant. It's just a different type of restaurant. It's one that has DJs, and it just doesn't work. And you're right, Shirley, I shouldn't have done that. But I just want to talk about the past discretions at the location. I think that's important. That has to be at least part of the record, is the way I'm looking at it.
And
but
can I say one other thing?
Then we're going to call the question.
Yeah. No, Bagatelle also, in case anybody doesn't know, took over the rooftop space in the fall or in January of this year. And my idea for that garden space is it would be a beautiful retail space. People might shop with an open roof and plants. Anyway.
Okay. So I'm sensing that this is a denial of recommendation. Okay.
Yes, deny.
Yes.
Are we all in agreement? 10-0? Anybody not? Okay. Everybody's in agreement? Okay, good. All right. So that's 10-0. Now let's move on to Restoration Hardware. And again, I appreciate everybody's tolerance. It's getting a little late, but we're almost done. So does somebody want to go forward on Restoration Hardware?
Well, once again, I'll start. I mean, once again, we have an operator who's told us one thing and done another and told us another thing and, you know, kept on. So it's not, there's a, from everything that I've read today and remember about this application, we have a problem believing that this is going to be what happens here. We have no reason to rely on their word.
I also found it interesting when I asked the question about the percentage of sales for the food as opposed to the.
That was fascinating, Shirley. Well done.
Because 10%, why are you then making all of this effort if you have 90% from your high-end furniture? You're only getting 10% for the restaurant? I mean, I thought that to me,
I don't believe it.
Interesting and right, a very interesting response.
But surely they got 20% from the barista bar. So what? How could they get 20% of their profits from the coffee? It must be so overpriced. It doesn't add up.
You know, this issue for me is what we're dealing with in all the big department stores and the retail now. I mean, we went through this with Bloomingdale's. They wanted to turn basically the whole store into a bar where you could order drinks, and we denied it. And the city, the SLA backed us up, and they, you know, they really, really restricted them. And I, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with department stores since Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's, who were setting the trend, you know, they were the first ones doing this. Now they're going out of business. So it's all looking different, but we know we're going to keep, this is going to keep coming up. And I think we just have to say no to this too. I mean, I feel that we have to,
our restaurants are suffering, and we're going to reward a bad actor by creating more competition?
No, there's no benefit to us.
And I will just piggyback on what Susan said. This is not Bloomingdale's, all right? Bloomingdale's is hurting. This is a company that is hitting on all cylinders, okay? If you had an investment in this company, you would have made a lot of money. And so it is, you know, it's a fairly innovative company, but unlike other companies that got hit pretty heavily by COVID, this particular company has actually benefited from COVID, and the stock is up 240% in just the last 20, 30 days. Okay, it's unbelievable. And so, you know, it got hit because of COVID, like everybody else, but it came back. It just hit a all-time high. Okay, and that's because they are selling a lot of furniture online. Okay, and they're doing all sorts of things. And this is, you know, this does not fit the bill of the businesses in our area. That's all. And that's why I asked so many questions about that. And I, you know, whether it's relevant or not, I do think it makes a difference.
I wanted to add in too, you know, what I had brought up that, you know, they're taking this was pointed out to me, somebody who was an attendee had texted me, and it was a really excellent point. They're removing the bars from the inside, putting all the eating and drinking outside, and then they're putting their outdoor furniture on the inside on the 4th floor. Instead of saying, okay, we can extend our luxury, you know, dining experience on the 4th floor, and we could put our furniture on the outside on the 5th floor so people can enjoy this beautiful environment to look at it in its natural state, which is outside. And so, you know, it doesn't make sense, and that was the original plan, and now this is sort of added on for exactly, you know, in a way that impacts the community the most. It's taking that use and putting it, you know, in that realm. And I think that the decision to switch over the outside to eating and drinking was made a long time ago, well before they opened. And you know, and that's illustrated in just the certificate of occupancy. And the first one that was issued had eating and drinking on the roof in August of 2018. So that was, you know, it had already been switched in the process. So
I'm sensing a similar decision as to the hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody disagree with the denial recommendation?
The other thing that's like, you know, as an accessory restaurant to the hotel that's 85% reservations and then holding spaces for the luxury clientele is sort of, it's shifting this accessory business, and they're playing it both sides. It's the accessory, and then it's to the other people. It's like, what is it? And that just seems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shirley, do you want to call the question?
Yes, yeah. And also too, Bob, I just want to say before we wrap up, I want to commend you for really, you know, having this, getting yourself in control, and also with the back and forth with the Weinstein. And I thank you for apologizing. And I just want to commend you for that.
Yeah, I kind of get a little carried away, and I realized that.
Well, at least you realized it, so that's what.
Yeah, no, definitely. It does happen every once in a while. So I appreciate that very much, Shirley. So this is a deny 10-0, unless someone tells me otherwise. And I just, before we go, I want to thank everybody as well for oh, Donna, you want to say something?
No, you know what, yes. Didn't circle back with Donald, who is he still here, Donald? Can we ask him about Hyundai because of the 500-foot, and are we going to hear from them?
We can send an email to him.
Okay.
Oh, he's right here. Why don't we ask him right now? He's still on.
Here, I just brought him up, Donald.
I know, but we're not going to.
We're not going to discuss it. We just want to know if we're going to hear something. Because,
we can ask that question to him in an email. That's all.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I agree.
And so one more thing. Mar generously indicated that she would start, at least help writing the resolution dealing with Brad Hoyman's bill. And I just want to, I point out to you, Mar, that I'm here to help, and I think Susan Kent would be helpful as well. And so we can go back and forth and edit back and forth, or, it's not all up to you is what I'm trying to say. Okay.
Yeah, I actually meant to do it, but Westbeth had an electricity shutdown. So I literally couldn't do anything until 4 o'clock today. But I've been working on it. So why don't I throw it into a Google Drive and we can all party around it, okay?
Yeah, no, because I think it'd be great. And I got so many emails, I couldn't forward them all to you against it. So
really? Okay, yeah.
And so I guess I could start forwarding them to you, but I'll count them all, and then we can put that in the resolution. But a whole bunch.
Yeah, I'd be able to hear them because I'd like to know, like, if there are any issues that we haven't thought of yet.
Okay. Go ahead, Katie.
Bob, do you want me to do the WSA Café?
That would be great. I mean, you just borrow. All you do is borrow the resolution from a few months ago.
It's pretty easy, but it just takes it takes something off the plate for you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Also,
really
Bob, on another note, I want to just say I've been keeping in touch with Tom, but what I really want the committee to know is how kind and generous Valerie has been. I could not go out myself, but Tom is not well and not receiving any food on the weekends. And also we need to get him, the reason he dropped off of the phone is because he was having trouble with his device. And I don't know, Vala, we were able to speak to Bob to try to get him one, but Vala went over.
Yeah. So we tried to do another test call today, but I did go over there the other day. His MacBook is just an older operating system that the Zoom update won't happen with it. It's only going to allow 3.6 for Zoom, and Zoom will only allow you now to do with the 5.0 version of their software, which updated on June 1st. So
right here, this is
and just also know that she cooked for him. He called me.
Stop.
Valerie cooked for him, and I just want to know that we.
It's super easy. It's a spinach.
Yeah,
I make them for myself, and I just threw an extra one in.
And I know I'm saying it because I felt bad because I could not do it, and I did reach out to Robin, And of course, and I reached out to Susan. Of course, they were later, but I was able to get Valerie, and I just need the committee to know that. And you need to keep in touch with our, with our committee members who might not want to reach out themselves or who might be needing help. So
I'm sure they would definitely appreciate a phone call.
I would just share that.
I'm sure he would definitely appreciate a phone call from anyone.
Yes.
What's his number, Valerie? We might not have it.
It's on the sheet.
I can give it to you very
Formally.
quickly.
Oh, you have it now.
Yeah.
Well, don't give it over the Zoom, but.
No,
I'll
don't give it over Zoom.
I'll send over.
It's also on the contact sheet. So.
Yeah.
On the contact sheet.
Yeah, and Shirley, make sure you have the right number for me because I never got a text from you. So.
Oh, that's true too. And by the way, the number I'll talk to Bob about this because the number I called Rosia because Rosia also is close to Tom, but the number that Rosia has listed on the form. On our form is not operable. I'll talk to Bob about that for the upgrade. But I just want for us, particularly during this time, to look out for each other.
Let me know.
I'll give you the chance to call the question. Are we ending?
Call the question, yeah.
All right, we're ending the meeting. Everyone, good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Yeah. Thanks again,
Good
Valerie.
night,
Love you.
everybody. It's Lois.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
Right.
He gets off.